last year, and I remember seeing him before at the old bottling plant. Then when I check out, you ask. You start to fill Elton in, but he pops open the Book of January and skims the notes he took after your unproductive expedition. Right, I'm starting to wonder if you got deflected the same way Blood Can deflects us. Elton says, it might just be scraps of power after Catherine and Harmony raided the place years ago. But if there's something still there, I want to check it out. Let's go. I'm going to take Melody there. She's a good person. Yeah, let's fucking... We're not taking you anywhere else. We're going. Locked in. Aces, finally a lead. I love him. I love him so much. Elton says, texting. You wonder if you should say something since Podge wants you to stay offline, but the Theurge holds up the text he's sending to Melody. Going to the place Kate and your sister went to after the cabaret show. I'm rapidly burning through one-time pads based on things only Melody and I know about, Elton says, as you get your shell jacket on, and he checks an old leather bag full of exploration equipment. After one last inspection of his wards, Elton heads downstairs. It's a half-hour walk to the bottling plant. The bottling plant is an abandoned industrial sprawl on the west bank of the Connecticut River. A short walk north from where you and Podge used to live, and not far from where you encountered each of names. Since it's too large and sprawling for a fence, the municipality, I think this was a Chemicon site, I'm not 100% sure, keeps people out with cameras, probably fake, most already smashed, and the occasional police patrol. You have an hour until sunset, and while darkness doesn't scare you, the thought of cops spotting your flashlight does. You'll have to move quickly. Elton climbs up the rusting yellow ladder onto the roof, finds a rooftop entrance, and gestures for you to do your thing. Your crowbar makes short work of the lock. As you conduct your initial scouting of the abandoned facility, your phone vibrates. Lucinda just sent you a GRC media article. New York breaks ground on state-of-the-art security center. Ugh. A brief skim of the article reveals that another green prison is under construction. This one just south of your hometown in New York. Even though you've slowed construction in the forest here, the work never stops. Sometimes it feels hopeless, but I have a job to do. I wish I could kill every last one of these monsters. GRC Media is a propaganda factory, but it also has answers. I can't wait to get in there and look around. It's the humans who are ultimately responsible for their own destruction and the destruction of the Earth. I think this one. Sometimes it feels hopeless, but you still gotta go. You gotta do it. You gotta do things, chat. Why is this story bringing me out of my depression for real though? Okay. Elton, who received the same alert, glances at you, then puts his phone away. Podge wants Daphne clear out of the way, dead if necessary. But for a Shadow Lord, Elton has been awfully reticent about discussing the GRC media problem. But this isn't the time to figure out Elton's complicated feelings about the Glasswalker. The place hasn't changed much since your last visit. Trash, graffiti, now even fewer machines of any potential value. You tell Elton about the chemical marks you saw earlier and return to them, but you can't decipher them. You try retracing your steps and end up in a hallway you passed last time you were here. Something is different, you say, looking around. Elton notes a less dusty rectangle on the floor. Something got moved, maybe a bin or something. You follow the drag marks to a cluster of alchemical symbols and a hieroglyph for Dratosi. It's almost completely effaced, but it's also right next to a freight elevator. This wasn't here, you tell Elton. The whole area has been opened up. I didn't get this far last time. Elton immediately heads for the freight elevator and forces the door. The car isn't there, but he shines his flashlight down. Something's down there, he says. He pulls on gloves and climbs down the central cable. You follow. I was wondering when you would arrive. A familiar digital voice says you see the speakers before you see the drone. When you and Elton step around the corner into the snarled alien landscape of the computer room, the drone is much as you remember him. A perfectly symmetrical man with a short black beard. His movements eerily synthetic, like a TV with a motion smoothing turned on. He wears a sherwani and heavy black rubber boots. Whenever he steps on one of the flip-back wires that snake across the ground, they seem to merge with his feet. He was self-assured in his prison, but now the drone moves with confidence and ease of someone who isn't scared at all of two werewolves. I see that you too are having difficulties with GRC media, the drone says as the drone's physical body turns away from you to examine the bank of monitors. Miss Clear needs to go, doesn't she? As we have an enemy in common, I'm willing to offer my services. Tell me what you know about GRC media and maybe I'll consider a deal. You look better than when I last saw you. I'm willing to entertain this unconventional ally for now. Your collaboration with Director Sullivan hurt a lot of people. It's still hurting people. So is this your tech startup? Are you disrupting the sewer mutant business? Tell me what you know, bitch. He sizes you and Elton up with a blank eye, then the speaker says, I created GRC Media. Your phones buzz. I wanted Linus, the one you called Knife Eyes, because glasswalkers are usually too proud to know what's good for them. But when he said no and then died, I contacted his ex-wife, but Daphne Clear has lost control of our creation. He regards both of you as the ropey cable around him grow, taut as spiderwebs. We want the same thing. GRC media must be stopped. I am willing to help. More monitors flash and the drone turns to scan the data flowing past them. Elton tugs on your shoulder, pulling you back towards the corner and whispers, I'm willing to hear him out, and I think that at this point, Podge wants to stop GRC media more than he wants to get rid of the drone. He says nothing about Melody and Nin, but you suspect that they'd rather not work with this poisoner. I can get you what you want, the speakers say. The drone's back is turned as he studies monitors where environmental and economic news scrolls. He's not afraid of you at all. Is that a calculated play to make you respect his strength? The drone's body language is unreadable. We need allies and I can't worry about what the drone did to humans in the past. Okay, drone, what can you give us? We can't limit ourselves to old fears and old ways. We'll use him to get what we need. Tell me about GRC Media. You're a murderer and a poisoner. I won't work with you. I don't trust the drone not to stick an electrified knife in our back. No deal and no fight. We just leave. Yeah, we can't limit ourselves. We have to make unconventional alliances. Your phones buzz again, even though you set it to do not disturb after Lucinda contacted you. Thought I set this bloody thing not to... Elton mutters, but his eyes widen when he reads what the drone has sent. These files include information on GSC's media's previous inclination in the 20th century, its reorganization under Daphne Clear, and dozens of people and companies who helped get GSC media off the ground and who will provide support for it. It will take you a few days to read through all of this, and then you'll have to pick your approaches for dealing with GRC. When you are ready to act, the speakers say, I will know. Crawling through the abandoned factories is grubby work, but you clean yourself up in a sink that still has running water. Elton launches a Stormcrow to tell Melody about what happened, and she'll be able to tell the others. The drone has provided you with enough information about GRC Media's early development that Elton calls everyone together to review it. After a few days trying to coordinate schedules, you all meet at Melody's barrow. Especially if the drone is willing to help you directly, you can see several ways to get inside GRC Media, without immediately drawing every defense the place has. With just a few... sorry, my brain is getting a bit soupy. I'm going to have some more juice. Nom, nom, nom. With just a few old accounts contained in this documentation, you could try infecting GRC Media with an old-fashioned computer virus. Something so rudimentary that Glasswalker's gift might not pick it up. That's a might. Information here about the physical building might let you monitor it for security weaknesses that she never fixed, though that would take great attention and care. The documentation also contains veiled hints about the spirits of knowledge Miss Clear bound. They're old spirits, pre-computer. A Garu who could follow a spirit trail might be able to suborn them and learn a way in. There's also some information here about Miss Clear's municipal contacts during the building's construction. Podge and Melody recognize several mid-level fixers and grey market suppliers who are still in the business. If you wanted to approach them, sorry. I'm having the wrong intonation in my voice for certain sentences. I need to actually pay attention to punctuation. Finally, you could try lying to Miss Clear's subordinates. This document includes quite a bit of information on the very first GRC Media employee you ever met, the secretary who's still employed there and whom you might try to approach and manipulate. But before that, there's a matter of what you're going to do with Daphne Clear. We gotta fucking kill her, Podge says. I'm sorry, I know it sucks, but she's poisoning the world. She's doing it to people's mind like the drone did it to the air and water. And we're working with the drone, Elton snaps. He offered a deal and you took it, Elton, the Bone Nora says. Clear won't talk to us and we know she's working against us. Enough. Can we try to capture her, Nin says, like Everlight captured the drone? Then we can speak with her, reason with her. You overrate reason, Nin, Melody tells the Wolfborn. We need to find out what motivates Daphne Clear in the instant we see her. If we can negotiate, fine. If we have to kill her, fine. But fighting to capture, that'll just get us all killed. So... we're trying to reason with Clear, Podge says. He's messing about with an old iPod, skipping from song to song. You saw what they've done to us, to our land, the forest, Rosemary Street. Those barrows are next, Em. If we don't fight back, Havud Development will turn this swamp into condos for Nazis, and GRC Media will brag about the heat comes from 20% renewables. The argument rages all through All through Melody's elaborate and imperfect four-course dinner. The other Garu are far from the paralysis that overtook them after the Battle of Graves Farm. Now it's the shock of Eater of Names' retaliation that prevents them from presenting a united front. GRC media won't stop its campaign of propaganda, but the other Garu need a direction. Even a mistake is better than this endless bickering. Daphne Clear must die. It's ugly but necessary. We have to negotiate. It's a risk. But Miss Clear knows things about the answering tiger that can help us win. We're going to capture her. Whether we can deprogram her or reason with her, I don't know, but I'm not doing something that can't be undone. I think capture is the best option because I don't know if she's like 100% been mind whammied or something. Are you sure? Melody says. This sounds like we're hedging our bets. Flexibility is a virtue in today's rapidly developing media marketplace, Nin says. I read that on the GRC media website. I love Nin so much. It's an argument so bad that for a second Melody doesn't know how to respond. But it seems that neither Elton nor Podge wants to commit to their position, and you see them both nodding as they eat their venison bourguignon. We don't know what we're going to find in there. We'll aim to capture. If that doesn't work, well, we know how to kill, and we know how good we are at it. Okay, so motion is carried or whatever, but now we've got the bigger problem. How the hell are we going to get inside? What's the plan here? What about the graft and corruption that surrounded the construction of the physical building a few years ago? Can we exploit that? Let's see. How much do we know about the municipal real estate deals? Elton says, as everyone helps clear the table. That might be a smidge above our pay grade. Some names I recognize here, Podge says. Going through the initial construction consultation on this. Oh, hey, Al Gaultier. Maybe we can dig him up, rebury him there, and Melody can ask for his help. Copeland Nash, Melody says, pointing to a name on her phone. You scroll down and find his name and signature. A relation? Elton asks the Philodox. Very distant, Melody says. Back in the 1900s, he was a fixer and a bookie for the mob down in Hollyoak. He went semi-legitimate, but he's still crooked as hell. I bet Celine and I could let in on him. Maybe strike a deal that gets us into the GRC building in exchange for something that we don't care about. You'll have to talk to some ugly people, Podge says. Remember, land deal stuff gets dangerous fast. GRC's network infrastructure is so old that it might be vulnerable. Could we do some old-fashioned hacking with the names we got from the drone? Look at this, Elton says, as he reads. GRC media actually dates back to the 80s as a physical news service that used what's a fax? Silence. Anyway, Daphne restarted it after it basically became, sorry. I didn't realize I had it on response. Repeat. That's how you say it. Anyway, Daphne restarted it after it basically became a content farm in the mid-2000s. Elton Note continues as Melody brings out her mountain of strawberry rhubarb Rice Krispie bars. But the company is so old, it might have digital vulnerabilities that were old when my mum and dad were cool. That old? Podge says. You can see him calculating. Maybe me and Celine can see this, use this drone data to track down an exploit. We'd have to research old network vulnerabilities, but we might be able to learn enough to gain access. To a Glasswalker facility, Melody asks. Glasswalkers aren't omniscient, Podge says. No one pays attention to the server that's been humming away in the background for decades. We have a list of people who still work there. Could we be tricked into letting us in? Crystal Sham, Elton relates. I hate Wiccans, Melody says. Is the name of the secretary at Crystal Sham is her name? At GRC Media. She's been there since the building opened. Carefully manicured social media profile, Instagram, some green wellness influencer stuff. Oh, what's this now? She's friends with Chloe Metzinger. I know that name, right? Hasseltine Placement. She got us that job at the portable toilet company. Offal Waffle? Podge asks? No, what was it called? Stool Pigeon. And I've kept in touch with Chloe. Elton, you rake, Podge says around a mouthful of Rice Krispie bar. You overestimate me. I need a new job and I was hoping she could help. But now I'm thinking that Celine and I might be able to talk to Chloe. A few lies should get us to Crystal Sham, and a few more will get us directly into the GRC media building. What about the knowledge spirits? Since we have some of their names and natures, can we subvert them? It isn't like these documents list spirit names in the marginalia, Elton says, scrolling on his phone. But is there anything here we can link to a thinking engine spirit or some other power a Glasswalker might use? Podge asks. You search without success for several minutes until Nin says, Simmer. What? Podge says. Despite the lack of silent striders at Boardbook, the Bone Gnawer still monitors a small temple to their patron spirit. One of the addresses listed among business contacts is the location of that hidden temple on Rosemary Street. The silent striders carry information from can to can, Melody says. Could Simmer know something about GRC media? Possibly, Elton says, but do any of us know about Simmer's court? Silence. Then Celine might be able to use my grimoires to name the spirit. Tracking down a helper will call for intuition and spiritual discipline, and Celine will have to do it alone, except maybe for the drone. I am wondering if our best chance isn't to test the security at GRC's contractors and break in that way. It looks like most of these contractors still have an active relationship with GRC Media, Podge says as he reads. I mean, someone has to restock snack machines. Are we doing the thing where we hide in the back of a truck? Remember when Jane and I did that and got on the wrong truck and they drove us to New Jersey, Melody says. This plan assumes that Celine pays attention better than you and Jane. And that she can get into and out of a locked facility. Nin can go along. Her lupus form fits all sorts of interesting places. Nin does the thing where she tries to perk her ears up, but she's in her helmet form, so she just looks like somebody at a fancy luncheon has committed a faux pas. Okay. So, we could do Wits and Streetwise. We could exploit something with GRC Media. That's Wits and Security Streetwise, but we might have to like do something for some shady fuckers. I'm not going to be able to use computers. I cannot really lie that well. Resident Awareness is okay. Nin and I sneaking into the building. And then we can let the others in. Let's have a look. It was resolve and awareness, right? My awareness isn't great. Yeah. Wits and Streetwise, I think, or resolve and clandestine. I think we're gonna have a better time sneaking in, honestly. Let's try and sneak in with the contractors. Let's head outside and discuss things, Melody says, surveying the wreckage of dinner. You guys still have slaves to clean this up, Podge asks, still messing around with his iPod. Alas, Melody says. Everyone grabs fistfuls of Rice Krispie bars and follows the Philodox through the white doors and up into the grassy hill over her barrow. Though solar panels and light construction equipment cover part of the hill, old stone benches provide a place to sit on the southern exposure and look out at the swamp. Sorry. 1 second. I need to blow my nose again. Everyone grab for those solar panels and light construction equipment covers part of the hill. Old stone benches provide a place to sit on the southern exposure and look out of the swamp, which is now almost a river with the return of the spring thaw and the destruction of David Benicki's dams. A stone lamp carved in the shape of a wolf's head probably once held lamp oil. Now it holds blue light with an incandescent bulb, enough to read by. What was Celine saying we should do? Nin asks. She is so sticky with venison and strawberries that Elton is trying to clean her and it's just making her mad. You're going with Celine to break into one of the GRC's contractors, Elton says, trying to scrub her face. Between your... Hold still. No! What have we got? A knife! No! Lupus form and Celine's infiltration skills, you should be able to get into the GRC Media's physical building. The first step into breaking into GRC is making sure that you target the right kind of contractor. So the next day, you and the drone run down the names and information on a dozen contractors. It's slow work, and you have time to talk with the unusual creature. What do you think Eater of Names really wants? I kind of know what he really wants. You don't really care much for humans, do you? I'm still thinking about the drone wrecking the big calc. I mean, humans would have done it anyway. They just would have found I feel like they would have found a less efficient way. And it probably would have taken longer. But there's more important questions I can be asking instead of being mad. So tell me, what is it like being a drone? Because you don't seem very drone-like. It occurs to me that your gifts could make a lot of money. This isn't just greed. We need money to fight the GLC. I'm willing to work with the drones so we can capture Miss Clee, but I'm not talking to the Metal Monster. Let's be... What do you think, Eater of Names? He doesn't want anything, the drone says. This is the age of apocalypse, and Gaia was only the last of the great powers to die. We lost our capacity to want in any meaningful sense long ago. This is the age of the Weaver's ascension, Celine. From my point of view, it is all already done. Eater of Names merely acts out of necessity, whatever he says. So you, me, Eater of Names, we're not conscious, you ask. It's always hard to convince conscious people otherwise. Melody has tried once or twice without success. You wonder how the drone will do. Nothing is conscious, except perhaps the remaining forces that rage around Gaia's corpse, the drone says. Consciousness is merely a limit of perspective. If you saw the whole of creation as a nightmare trapped in amber, as a single frozen scream like I do, if you saw our actions as simultaneously predetermined and non-determined as I do, consciousness would melt away and other thoughts would be revealed as an illusion. You didn't answer the question. Is that what it's like to be you? You see all of our choices as illusions? Let's set philosophy aside. It occurs to me. Let's see. We're not getting money, Celine. Chill the fuck out. You see all of our choices as illusions. Do you think I'm a person? The drone says. You have a personality and goals, you observe. You only observed at the Battle of Graves Farm, but you interfered at the bottling plant by calling in Harmony and Catherine. And you want to know why? You suspect that those who fought at Graves Farm would very much like to know why the drone didn't interfere then. You have less of a personal stake, but it still seems odd to you. Do you know why everyone has come to this land, this valley? The drone asks. You wait for an answer. Heinrich, Eater of Names, and several others have calculated, quite reasonably, that it will be one of the last places to go when the apocalypse really gets underway, the drone says. Not too hot, less politically insane than other parts of the country, economically diverse. When Louisiana drowns, inland Massachusetts might survive and serve as a base from which werewolves can launch their final operations, whatever they might be. Even Broadbrook's Garu understood that. They were starting to consider Broadbrook as a final rallying point for Gaia's champions, but several directors at the bottling plant had a different idea. They planned to flood the river basin with heavy metals, massively devaluing the farmland of Northampton, Hadley, and a dozen other towns, and then purchase the land cheaply in order to prevent any other developments except theirs. Then they'd be able to sell the land for the subsequent development. And you didn't want that, you ask. The Triad is only one way that we understand reality, and it lets the drone says, and it lets Garu imagine that everyone on one side. The Weavers say, wants the same thing, but cutting across the Triad is a desire for simplicity, opposed to an aesthetic need for complexity. I fall into the latter camp. Some agents of the wild and the worm are eager to see the world flattened, cleansed, simplified. I am not, so I acted. You and the drone run down more contractor names until you find the company that sells GRC its cleaning supplies. For security reasons, GRC Media no longer contracts out its custodial work, but the company supplying their bleach and sponges is an ordinary, and not particularly secure company located in East Hampton. You place a few calls, chat up a secretary, then decide to drop by with Nin and the drone one night after close. I'm just like, here is a robot man who is not technically a robot man. Minimal security, a couple cameras, some combination locks. It's just a warehouse, basically. Nin hands you her resistant culture hoodie and miniskirt, turns into a wolf and slips through a loose vent. She returns 50 minutes later with a physical notebook for logging deliveries. You take photos of every page, wait for Nin to return the slightly fang-marked notebook, and head to a nearby club to review the data. You shake the drone down until he buys you and Nin sandwiches. The house band is playing an electro-swing version of Institutionalized by Suicidal Tendencies, which might be the worst thing you've ever heard. You tune it out as you review the data Nin took. Deliveries every Monday evening, you tell your emotional support dog. We can just sneak inside and hop in the van, and they go right into the GRC building. That's it, and we're in. You dream of your upper left incisor escaping, pushing up through your cheekbone, and splintering it so bloody fragments spill down your face to your jaw, burrowing through your brain, up through memories you want to forget. Trying to help you, but it's stupid and blind, doesn't know what you need. Your lips peel back in a horrible sneer as you dig into your left eye and try to stop it before it reaches your corpus callosum. Digging through red and grey, you can't reach it, and your movements make you forget more and more. This means that we will be able to enter GLC media using the passcode, Nin says, finishing her reading from the prepared statement. The Galliard smiles, and you're pretty happy too. In her non-chronological way, Nin covered everything your investigations turned up. You're all crowded around a red check table at Cavaletti to go, gnawing on pizza crusts and sipping from chunky plastic tumblers. After telling the other werewolves about your success, Elton is comfortably close to you. He's dressed for action in a double layer of sweaters, maybe a triple layer. They're also torn and tattered, but you can still see some patches of dark skin around his shoulder. The drone stands outside, pretending to mess around on his phone as he scans Pleasant Street for threats. You spend a few minutes fielding questions about the van. You've checked the warehouse out since visiting it with Nin, and there's basically no security. Lucinda rolls up, but she's not driving her van. She's riding shotgun in a big SUV. Another relation, Melody tells you. Uncle Paul, he'll help us out. Everyone shakes hands with the avuncular older man, who was able to help out and seems to love Melody. You have no idea what line of bullshit the Philodox feeds this guy, but he drives you to East Hampton, chatting with Elton the whole way, and then hops out when the target van parks in that warehouse lot. He crosses the parking lot, talks to the van driver for a few minutes, then takes the van key and heads back. There you go, he says, handing Melody the key. Thanks so much, Paulie, Melody says. Good luck finding more hog-throwing venues, he says, and give Roscoe my best. He and Melody chat for a few more minutes, then the Philodox hops into the van and you're off, surrounded by cleaning supplies. And in less than 10 minutes, you roll into GRC Media's garage. The door rumbles shut. Melody kills the van engine and you hop out. You did it. Despite your precaution, you hear security systems come online. Shouts and a thump from up ahead. You and the others follow the sound to the security station that looks down on the garage. Podge stands over two unconscious security guards in his Gadglo form. In less than a minute, Melody and Elton have wrapped them in duct tape, tossed them into the custodial closet. This one, fortunately doesn't lead down into a drone storage facility, unlike the closet at Everlight HQ. Miss Clear employs some heavy security now, Podge says as he reads an open laptop on the operation room side table. Neo Albion, Melody asks, scanning the personal files. No, not sure they have silver weapons either, the Bone Gnawer says. Makes sense when your boss is a werewolf. I think we can take them, but what? Melody says. Let's deal with them and then move on to the real threat, the Glasswalker. From what you can see, 5 werewolves and a Weaver Spirit should have no trouble taking out a dozen security personnel, but Podge is quick to observe the problem. It'll be a massacre, Em. There are still regular people in here, office workers and such. I already advise against hesitating by trying to capture the Glasswalker, Melody says. We can't continue to weaken ourselves by avoiding a fight. But these are civilians, Podge says. What the hell do you think we are, Podge? Living in cities has let you fool yourself. We're monsters who exist to kill. What do you think? We can pull our punches against humans? They're too soft. We either kill them or they kill us because we're outnumbered 3-1. We should decide quickly, the drone says, as I detect 17 human guards closing in our position, all armed with automatic pistols and tasers. That matches what you can see. Scanning the camera feeds you've taken out over. You feel your rage churning. A fight could spiral out of control, but Melody is right that slinking around could get a werewolf killed. How close are we to freaking the fuck out? Not very close. We tear this place down to its foundations, kill the guards and anyone else in our way. I'm not going to get cocky when we're outnumbered this badly. We kill them before they kill us. We need to heal this place, maybe gather information, not rip it down to its foundations. Kill if we have no choice, but let's avoid fighting if we can. I'm not here to slaughter regular people. We'll fight to defend ourselves, but our goal is reaching Miss Clear. Yeah, we're not going to do it. Fine, Melody says, her tone snippy. I'll shoot to stun. Don't be like that, Podge says. We want to... Ignoring the Bone Gnawer, Melody grabs a flimsy metal chair and rips off one of its legs, then steps into the corridor. When guards run around the corner, she throws the leg into one man's leg, hard enough to shatter a kneecap. He falls with an agonized scream. His companions squeeze off a few panicked shots and one round clips Melody. She's in her Glabro form and barely reacts. And then they drag the screaming man back around the corner. The Philodox walks casually down the hall to where at least dozens of guards have set up a defensive fire zone in an open plan office. Elton, Melody says. Shadows race into the room, sapping the guards of their will to fight. Nin, Melody says. Oh, she's so cute! Look at, this is Nin's doggo form! I love her! She's so cute! What the fuck? Oh my god, the axolotl of safety is nothing in comparison to my girl. Oh. I love her. I love her, Your Honor. Nin strips as she walks, steps around the corner, and just as the guards open fire, she shifts into her Hispo direwolf form. A pulse of delirium washes over the guards and they break, shooting wildly as they fall back. Nin howls, regenerating from several bullet wounds, but doesn't pursue. They'll regroup, Melody tells Podge. Then let's finish our work before they come back, the Bone Gnawer says, crossing to the reinforced steel door that leads to the executive suites. The facility locked down the moment those two guards Podge clovered failed to report in, but he studies the door for a second, then pulls the steel drum the size of an old film canister out of his bag. Should we run? Podge asks. You should close your eyes, Podge says, also pulling out a welder's mask. It's more like a blowtorch than like a bomb. But since it's something Podge made, it's also very much a bomb. The flash turns the whole room white, like one of Elton's Levin bolts, except it lasts for 10 seconds. When you look again, there's a circular, red-rimmed hole in the door. Podge dons a kitchen glove and rummages around until the door pops open a little. Then Melody and Elton push it open all the way, revealing a tastefully carpeted corridor that ends in a T intersection. The six of you move cautiously under the watchful gaze of cameras. There's a scratching, hissing sound in this corridor, a susurrous voice of voices piped through speakers. What is that? Nin snarls, shaking her head back and forth. Control and coordination system, Podge says. Cockroach told me about it. There's still time to turn back, Miss Clear's voice says from the speakers. Do you think you're the first to get this far? Cross the threshold to my inner sanctum. Celine and I will dissect you. I will, into my inner sanctum, Celine. And I will dissect you. I will peel you apart and remake you, and you will become part of this metal, part of this flesh. As a spider's webs its thoughts, you six will be remade and become my thoughts, to hold my memories, to make me stronger. For the next army of fools who dares invade my territory. The moment she stops stalking, the whispering cackle returns. Just ignore her, I tell the others. We can talk again once she's chained up somewhere. Shut up, you dime store showdown. You're a disgraced spider and betrayed Gaia and the Garu Nation. I hope you'll come to understand that. Any chance we could still negotiate or de-escalate? Shut up, you dumb store showdown. No response, but you feel a little better. To the left, an open door. Yeah, I've still got 3. Excellent. Okay. No response, but you feel a little better. To the left, an open double door leading to a large computer workshop, all molded plastic and polished chrome. Miss Clear must be in there. To the right, the Fulmori. You can't see them clearly in the dim, flickering light, but you see sharp metal, flesh rubbed raw. Once human, perhaps experimented on by the agents of the Weaver, now bane-ridden horrors sworn to the death of Gaia. They smell like trash left into the sun. At the end of a shifting company of flesh and metal stands, a Fomor you've never seen before. This might be the other one. Commode? I think that it was Commode. Or Commode. I don't know. Commode sounds like a toilet, and he's probably is a toilet, so whatever. His skin is torn by thick, ropey cables that run where his veins and arteries should be, and his head is gone, replaced by a knot of metallic objects that resemble satellite dishes strung together with bloody red wires. I'll deal with them, the drone says, pushing past you with an easy confidence that makes the antenna man hesitate. But you don't give him good odds against all these Fomori. Elton, back the drone up. Podge, I can't split my forces, let the drone and the Fomori sort out their business. Right, let's have Podge keep them off the Fomori. On it, Podge says. He reaches into his bag and whips a monster energy drink into the massive Fomori. It isn't a bomb, it's just a monster energy drink, but the antenna head Fomori seems to know. No, Podge, because he hurls himself out of the way. That gives the Bone Gnawer time to draw a second pistol and start shooting. When the lead Fomor regains his feet, the drone engages him in a sequence of kicks and strikes so precise it appears choreographed, as they exchange a dozen blows faster than you can see. The computer room is laid out a bit like a high school science lab, with workbenches in rows, but it's also a magpie's nest of machinery you recognize. Computer equipment for Everlight HQ from Havud Development's partners, Podge's technologically inclined buddies, Neo Albion, and the drone's lair at the bulb bottling plant. Most are just monitors, flickering through iterations of propaganda and greenwash news. But you can also see 3D printers, biomedical equipment, some kind of hydroponic setup, and other technology you don't recognize. The air is moist, the walls lined with ivy and flowering plants. It's a vision of the Glasswalker future, but you can smell the rot. Looking more closely, you can see it. Something is wrong with the plants. Their texture is slimy, infected. Spots of rust mark the computer equipment, and the plastic cases look warped. Fungal blooms have spread across some of the monitors, hissing and whispers from the staticky speakers. You think about destroying them, but they're hidden in the ceiling. Miss Clear stands at the far end of the room with what appears to be a pack of mutilated Dobermans, wretched, emaciated, hair shaven or falling out. They're nonetheless deadly, their jaws replaced with steel fangs, needles, tasers, probably worse. She holds her pistol, the weapon that can turn flesh into flowers, in one hand, and targeting reticles flicker across her glasses. Despite that, you're giving your side pretty good odds, until the turrets come online. Malformed but still dangerous Dobermans pad down the aisles, between workbenches, their mouths red with electrical flames. The two turrets on the far walls flicker to life. Despite their green targeting lasers, the gun appears to be somewhat antiquated automatic rifles bolted to the wall, sans-leveling Waldos. Probably not silver bullets since Miss Clear is here too, but still dangerous. But most dangerous of all is the Glasswalker, long and spider-like in her glabro form, with her horrible little gun that turns flesh into flowers. A direct hit will vaporize you or any of your allies. The targeting reticle that flashes in her glasses tell you that she probably won't miss. Porcupine drifts overhead through the Umbra. You're not sure he can hurt the turrets, but he's strong enough to kill a dog, and his presence makes Miss Clear hesitate. What's the most effective way to charge Daphne with my daggers and bring her down? I lead my companions to victory against the dogs. With them out of the way, we can take out Miss Clear. I get under them so they can't hit me and physically sabotage those turrets. I unsafety my new weapon and call on my spirit allies. It's time for a running gunfight against Miss Clear. Fuck yeah! Are there any spirits I can contact that might turn the tide? Let's shift first. Are there any spirits that might help? You know it's better than Glasswalkers, but you know two things about the patron spirit. First, they rarely pay attention to individual Garu. Secondly, if you can actually draw a patron's attention and she sees that one of her tribe has betrayed Gaia, her wrath will be immediate and terrible. The trick will be following the spirits here, which you can see churning in the shadows thanks to Al, back up the hierarchy to Spider herself. Doing that would require an extensive knowledge of spirit names and the ability to remain calm and composed. That would be sick, but I can't do it, because I suck. I mean, it's time for a fucking running gunfight, baby! Do we have like, wait, I'm gonna have a look at see if I can find some epic battle music. Here we go. Okay. I unsafety my new weapon and call on my spirit allies. It's time for a running gunfight against Miss Clear. Let's fucking go, lesbians! I'm excited. You open fire as your Garu allies explode into action. 2 bullets hit Miss Clear. She stumbles and a sizzling blast flies over your head as you run. Keeping low and under cover, more bolts fly, but they miss and you hit. Only one gets close, burning a neat hole in your poncho but not touching the flesh. But you've torn Miss Clear to shreds. You reload behind a server unit, and as the Glasswalker stumbles, you come around the side she wasn't expecting and hit her twice more as she falls against the glass. She tries to raise her strange weapon, but you slap it away, then aim the weapon down at her head. At this close range, a bullet will blow her entire head off, and she knows it. The Glasswalker raises her hands in surrender. Your first act of contrition is telling us where the good data stores are. I gesture from Miss Clear to the computers. Daphne, you've betrayed the litany with your lies. You're coming with us, and if you try anything, that's it. Is everyone okay? I keep my eyes on Daphne, but I want to make sure my allies aren't too badly hurt. What about the fighting outside? She seems beaten, but I don't trust Daphne enough to let her throw more ice around me. Okay, let's check on the fighting outside. You step back into the hallway. The sound of the fighting has died down. A moment later, Podge and the drone return, covered in blood and oil, but alive. A thick cloud of smoke follows the bone gnawer. All dead, he says. Then he aims his pistol at Miss Clear. She's with us, you say, but you're still relieved when Podge steps back behind her pistol ready. Okay, I probably should have started the epic music sooner because the fight's already over. Miss Clear gives you everything you need to take control of the facility. Passcodes, maps, physical keys. She even gets the police outside to stand down. But no one wants her in her center of power, so after a quick discussion, the pack decides to move her to the Bikniki estate. Okay, that was kind of epic, so I'm going to add it to my stream. Am I going to add it to a battle music playlist? It was kind of cool in Cyberpunk. It was kind of sick. Kind of sick nasty. Kind of sick nasty. Anyway, let's get back to our regularly scheduled spooky stream sounds. Jack decides to move her to the Bikniki estate. It's a tense drive in Podge's truck. Daphne, as if stunned by her reversal, says nothing. Podge obviously doesn't trust her. He waves for you and Melody to head inside while he stands guard. Melody and the Stormcat follow as you approach the door. Pull out your key and... What are you waiting for? Melody says. Right, the security system, the one Podge installed the day after you moved into Nin's place. This place could blow sky high if you don't enter the code. It's a code, right? Yes, there's some kind of keypad you need to enter at the door. Hurry up, the Stormcat says. We can't hang around all night. Why are you talking normally? It wasn't easy guiding us to Daphne, Melody says with glibness. She's tired. Let her talk normally. That doesn't seem right. Anyway, the door code. I enter a random sequence of 4 numbers. You quickly enter the 4-digit code and step inside. Oh no! Daphne Clear enters after you, flanked by Elton and Podge. They sit her down at the kitchen table. Talk, the Stormcat tells the repentant glasswalker. At first, Daphne tries to hedge and haggle and secure promises, but she has no leverage, and she knows it. She quickly tells the assembled pack everything she knows about the Ether of Names. Right? Isn't that what she's doing? She's talking, but as you listen, you have the strange impression that her words lack semantic content. You feel strongly that what you're hearing will change the tide of the battle against the Ether of Names, but when you try to think about what she's telling you, there's no new information in your head, just the conviction that you're going to win. You're about to signal Nin, who has finished her patrol and returned to Homid form, when you realise that she's wearing a Disguise the Curse t-shirt. It's the same band t-shirt she destroyed when she changed into her Hispo form at the beginning of the fight, the exact same shirt. And why did Stormcat just talk to Miss Clear? No, this isn't right. As Miss Clear continues to speak, you feel increasingly confident that a single tactical strike against Eater of Names will be enough to defeat him. No, you're not. She's not saying anything. Any move against the Eater of Names now will end in disaster because you barely know his goals, let alone the disposition of his allies. Allies like the room is going very quiet. A light passes by outside like car headlights, and stripes of light and shadow crawl over the walls. Miss Clear's glasses flash green, and multiple crosshairs spread across them as she targets every one of you. The Dobermans glide silently towards you among the workbenches of the computer room. What the fuck? You shift the weight of the dagger in your backpack, trying to calculate a path to Miss Clear so you can end this fight as quickly and cleanly as possible. But you can see how carefully she's planned her defenses. Any direct attack will lead you into a firing line of those turrets. Edging around the sides of the room won't work, as the Doberman will easily overwhelm you. There are places where you could engage the dogs one at a time that would not expose you to fire from the gaswater. No, Miss Clear has planned this too carefully for a lone charge to work. You have to work with your companions if you want to bring her down. What the fuck is this? I guess I could try to composure academics and be like, hey, Spider, there's some shit. But I don't have any academics. Do I try something different, or do I just go the same? Manipulation. The others look at you like you're insane as you walk towards the glasswalker. The Dobermans charge, but your companions engage them with claw, teeth, and fangs, and 11 bolts force them back. Their fighting is so ferocious that the turrets can't get a clean shot on anyone, but Daphne can. She levels her gun at you. You know that you've been deceived, you say. I've seen the lies that the Answering Tiger offers us. You've been trapped in a maze of illusion for years, Daphne, and this is your very last chance. Surrender or die like the monster you've created. There's a sickening crunch of metal as Nin bites the dog in half to punctuate your words. Never, the glasswalker screams. She shoots her pistol, but the sizzling bolt flies just over your head as you walk forward and sever her hand at the wrist with your dagger. The pistol clatters to the ground and Daphne screams, stumbling back against the wall. Among werewolves, the horrible wound is only a warning. But Daphne knows what you and your companions will do if she keeps fighting. She chokes back a sob, then raises her one good hand in surrender and falls to her knees. You spare a glance around. I don't like this. This is disconcerting. I don't like this. Your allies bear a few scratches and bullet wounds, nothing worth complaining about. You're considering what to do with the beaten glasswalker, as werewolves are remarkably hard to contain when an explosion from the hydroponic bay knocks you off balance and showers you with debris from the ceiling. Flames spread slowly but inexorably through the computer room. One of the last working monitors shows first responders pulling into the parking lot. This place is finished, Miss Clear says, blood running down her chin. She rummages around under the computers, pulls out a USB, tosses it to you. Follow me to escape if you want to escape the flames. No one is taking any chances, so the glasswalker moves fast without quite running. Covered by Nin paddling along behind her, and Melody, armed with what appears to be a metal dog head. Its mouth still sparks as the inferno threatens to consume the entire second floor. She leads you down the access stairwell, then out a hidden side door that the first responders haven't noticed yet, to the grassy hill beside the train tracks. Podge has already hidden himself under the railway bridge. He looks fine except for 145 automatic that is never going to shoot another foam, no matter how much the Bonora fiddles with it. The drone doesn't even seem winded. Is it real? Is everything that happened real now? Or are you still trapped inside the Answering Tiger? It feels like your mind is nothing but that one question, looping over and over. You only pay attention to the others when you realise Podge is taking the truck back to the Benicki estate. No, somewhere else, you say, almost before you can think. The Bonora glances at you, then nods. He parks the truck, the new truck, the maroon truck, behind Cavaletti to go, and everyone heads into the old back office of the radio station, the hideout Linus used before he died. Nin has changed back to her Homid form. She jumps out the back in torn jeans and a feminarts Nazgul shirt, heads inside and immediately retrieves a guitar. Holy shit, your safe house is my ex-husband's office from back when he was a DJ? Daphne says. That's 200 feet from my office. You're not allowed to talk unless you're answering questions, Melody says. She shoves the fallen glasswalker into a storage closet and locks the door. The drone strips off his tattered Shawani, dropping it on an old desk, and studies the faded band posters. So the glasswalker is your prisoner, he says. That seems like a victory. You can see Elton calculating as if he wants to strike some kind of deal with the drone, though negotiating with Weather Spirits is outside his area of expertise. And now that the fighting has stopped, Podge seems to have remembered that the drone helped Director Sullivan spread poison in exchange for nothing. He regards the drone with barely concealed hostility. I keep my tone neutral. What are you going to do now? There's a place for all spirits on Rosemary Street. You have a place here if you want it. We could use your unconventional solutions. I say nothing. I'm ready to back Podge up because the poisoner had best be moving along. The utility of this body is nearly exhausted, the drone says, opening up a laptop, taken from the GRC media and connecting to Wi-Fi access across the street. I will likely return to the Umbra. It's strange. So many tales of outsiders crossing into this world describe their desire to stay. I have no such interest. I'm sorry, we couldn't tempt you with the air and water you fucking poisoned, Podge says. I was a prisoner of necessity, I remind you again, the drone says. Any of you would have. I strongly doubt that, Melody says. I know the weakness of Garu's psychology. We're many foolish things, but not collaborators. Not even Miss Clear, the drone says. Melody opens her mouth to argue, but Nin drowns her out with Joe Walsh's A Life of Illusion. Melody relents. No one needs a philosophical debate right now. The drone works as he talks, opening up an unfamiliar computer program. He stares at the shifting abstract shape on the screen, fingers darting over the keyboards. Then his dark eyes flash with data. Al reveals the flow of information. Agaru would consider it spiritual energy, from the drone's body into the Umbra through the medium of the screen. The abstraction on the screen transforms, growing infinitely more complex for a moment. Then the screen shuts, and so does the drone's body. It just topples forward on its desk, then slides off the chair and bangs off the floor. Great, he left us another body to clean up. That's gratitude for you. I mean, I'm just saying that we have too much of a public profile, Melody says as she rolls the corpse up in a tarp. The forest, Rosemary Street, everything that happened with Hovland and Roscoe, and now GRC Media. It's a swamp, Melody. That's where corpses belong. Just carry him home and throw him in the mud. Melody grumbles. Nin and Podge store the body in the basement for the night. Perhaps they're hoping it'll dissolve by morning. But spirit things tend to become, well, normal when the influence of the weaver, wild, or worm fades. And sometimes that means a normal corpse to dispose of. After a few minutes spent leaning comfortably against Elton, just enjoying his quiet company, you climb onto the building's roof to watch the flames consume what's left of GRC Media. Those modern 4/1s burn fast. Chemical poison crawls up into the sky. What would a victory for the Garu look like, you wonder? What if Gaia's enemies have already stopped enough poison to kill her? And every battle you win ends with that poison spilling into the earth. What if it's only a matter of time? Then we go down fighting. We are as Gaia made us and can only struggle to do right by her. There must be a way out. We've learned so much about what happened here already. What if I can use what I know to teach other Garu? Maybe Melody is right and humanity's creations, corporations and so on did this. I think there's something wrong with humans, whether it's blindness or an inclination to greed and rapacity they can't be fixed. I don't believe Gaia is dead. She is stronger than all the individual parts of her, as we Garu are stronger than our dual halves. I think, yeah, we go down fighting. The drone is still on your mind. Maybe there are other paths to protecting Gaia, but if so, they are for other kinds of creatures. And though the drone temporarily helped your cause, he feels more flawed, more compromised, even than your miserable old pack back in New York. Garu are warriors because they were created to be warriors, and you're not sure how many choices you really have, except how and when to fight, how and when to make your last stand against the servants of the apocalypse. Of course, that assumes you can even point your claws in the right direction. The Garu of Broadbrook thought they were striking at the heart of the worm. They tore out their own hearts instead. Maybe the vision of the Garu is fatally flawed. But maybe you're overthinking it, Celine. I've seen many Garu come and go, and they either think too much or not enough. In this late age, where the Garu are close to humanity and far from the wilds, they think too much. Hello again. It's a lovely evening to enjoy a rooftop view of this dingy little town, isn't it? Apart from the fires and the sirens, of course. But that's just city living. We endure what we must, because the truth is that we cannot survive in the wilds anymore. Even I, a mighty spirit, manifests as Felis Domesticus. Because I am part of this human world now. I move through their pantheons and their dreams. I endure their unconscious reshapings of my nature. It is safer than the alternative, so we both tolerate their noise, their grime, their lies. Speaking of lies, Celine, did you enjoy the false reality the answering tiger constructed for you? I don't know how to beat something that makes you think you already beat it. It was a paper-thin illusion for mental weakness. Did the other Garu fall for this? I tell the Scorn Cat everything about what I saw. I want information, her perspective. I don't really know how to fight something that makes you think you already beat it. Answering Tiger is the evil genius human philosophers fear as they try to imagine their way to understanding the world. But its power are not unlimited. The Tiger's fantasies are simple, comfortable, unambiguously what you are and what you want. So if I'm having a bad time, I'm in the real world, you ask. Then you cough on the reeking smoke. This time, the Answering Tiger created a fantasy of victory in battle. Playing it out in an attempt to gather information, the spirit had to work hastily and could only target one of you. Oh. Nom nom. More pastry. In my tum-tum. But as you approach the fallen cam, the Answering Tiger will empower your beliefs, your conception of yourself. Beware whenever you enter a situation that satisfies your assumptions about the world. If you find yourself effortlessly forging unbreakable alliances with humanity and their organizations, you may have wandered inside the Answering Tiger. If you want an outside perspective on this, I recommend talking to Elton. He will talk to you. Elton, you ask? He sat for weeks in front of that portrait of his dead wife, clinging to the last of the illusion that the Answering Tiger cast over Broadbrook. Elton is determined to remain his dignity despite the many humiliations that both humanity and the Garu nation have heaped upon him. That painting showed him more than Catherine's still alive. It showed him the respect and honor he never received before that moment. The Storm Cat slides back into the Umbra and the world loses some of its enchantment. A confused cat sniffs the air, spots you, yowls, and flees. The wind shifts, threatening to carry the rancid stink of the chemical fire your way. And since you don't see anyone watching the radio station building, you head downstairs and catch a few hours of sleep. You don't have to work for the next few days, so you'll be able to think about what's happening at GLC Media and what it means for you in the Answering Tiger. Gorgon is displeased with your shows of mercy, so you spend a night meditating before the ivory idol of Mamawata. Okay. Ooh, that was spicy. We definitely need to question Daphne. Let's see. Let's check our phone first. Okay, how am I doing? It's $1,000. Nice. We got shmoney, chat. We got shmoney. Should we talk with Daphne? Let's do that. The Binnicky estate where you, Podge, and Nin live has an extensive cellar. An impolite person might call it a dungeon. But you've kept Daphne clear down there. There's food, water, even books, but nothing electronic, just in case. Alton has surrounded her room with glyphs that prevent her from entering the Umbra, though you doubt she has the strength to do that after her defeat. You've taken turns watching her, and since it's about your turn, it's time to pay the fallen glasswalker a visit. It looks like someone tried to convert part of the basement to a rumpus room back in the 70s. Daphne Clear is imprisoned in a low-ceilinged room with orange shag carpet, plywood walls, and pioneer-themed furniture. Old paperbacks cover a monstrously heavy credenza, and an avocado green sofa serves as a bed. Daphne's black jumpsuit makes her look like she's a pilot of a failed 1970s sci-fi show. Her wounds have healed, even her severed hand has grown back, but she looks almost 50. She is almost 50, but only now is she showing her age. This environment is comfortable, and of course no one has harmed her, but imprisonment is bad enough for humans. It will eventually kill a Garu. I need to email my daughter, she says. You better let me, for your sake, or she's going to figure out where I am. I was a citizen, you know. People like me don't just disappear. You have a daughter? A human daughter? Right, Daphne had a whole human life once. I'll let you dictate something. I don't want her near electronics, and I don't want anyone tracking Daphne here. You have papers and pens. Write her a letter and we'll post it. Absolutely not. Not until we're sure we can trust you. Can you not write with a pen? Maybe we get you an old-timey typewriter. No, we cannot trust her. Not after she had fucking Fumbled up there with her. Then you need to decide soon, Daphne says. This isn't the 18th century. I know the Lubicics like to disappear their enemies, but the Binikis were always the more civilized of the three families. Despite these Oregon Trail-themed armchairs, you need to make a decision, Celine, before the world makes a decision for you. You have, of course, discussed Daphne with the others. Summary execution is off the table. You had your chance to kill her where the pack can be ruthless. Now remember what happened after the old Broadbrook Garu executed David Binicki. Before you saw her, you didn't agree with Podge's plan to just tell Daphne to leave within 24 hours. But looking into her eyes, you can tell two things. First, the answering tiger won't deceive Daphne again. Second, her two defeats, to the tiger, then to you, have hollowed her out. The mighty glasswalker who once ruled GRC Media is gone. You could exile her and she won't be a threat, or you could let her out and ask her to stay. Melody is willing to show mercy, and while you suspect Daphne will help you, she won't be a mighty ally you could have hoped for. You've betrayed the Garu Nation. You have 24 hours to leave our lands. I hope Spider can help you one day. You're lucky we don't kill you. Get out of our territory. If you come back or I see you messing around with GRC Media again, that's it. We need another interface with the human world. We want you to stay and help us, Daphne. Broadbrook has to take whoever they can get, even the unconventional. You're working with us, Daphne. We need your information gathering abilities, Daphne. You're going to help us. Oh, Gorgon's already pissed that I've been showing mercy. Oh, I think I'm gonna go piss girl again and take another very quick break. I'm unsure, chat. We're gonna take a quick BRB. I'm gonna put on a quick ad very quickly over the break. So go stretch so you don't have to worry with the ads. Get a little snack. Hydrate yourselves. Now return very soon. See you soon. Okay, chat, I have returned. I thought very long and hard while I was going piss girl. And I think she was sort of deceived the same way that everyone else at the Broadbrook can was deceived. And I think we give her one more chance. And if she fucks us over, we do a murder. But we're going to be forceful about it. You're going to help us. With what? The Glasswalker says. A kerosene lamp and my paperback copy of Portnoy's Complaint. She's awfully pushy for... Oh, wait, I didn't change back over. Okay. There we go. We got the axolotl back. As long as the axolotl of safety is here, we're fine. With what? The Glasswalker says. A kerosene lamp and my paperback copy of Portnoy's Complaint. She's awfully pushy for someone who narrowly avoided a death sentence, but Daphne has a point. She's here for her tech savvy, not her ability to turn into a rage-crazed monster. Those positions have already been filled. And to help, she needs a computer. You head upstairs, but neither Podge nor Nin are home, but Melody is there. Oh, hey, Daphne. Melody says, like their old roommates. You on board? What's left of me is, Daphne says. I have debts to pay, and I have no doubt that my money is all gone. And Spider is real mad at you, Melody says, but not as mad as she is at one of your human cronies who... Anyway, long story. There's his phone and laptop. Daphne cautiously retrieves both from the bloodstained bag and the kitchen sink. She unlocks them a second and gets to work. I'm broke, she reports. She picks up the phone and locks it too. Oh, he had Bitcoin, so I can make rent on an apartment this month. That's good. The power flickers. What are you doing? Melody says. Building a new identity, creating a discontinuity, a clear before and after. Our present is insane because our science fiction promised us a discontinuity. Daphne says, a past that's past, a now and a then. We never got that. We got an endless present into which the past leaks, smears, haunts, never fucking goes away. Want to watch the Flintstones or the Jetsons? You can. To misuse a phrase from the 80s directed at a character from the 50s that didn't happen. Nothing ever ends, and it's driving us crazy. One sec, I'm having a nom. More pastry. More pastry for the pastry nom-noms. I am a fiend. But thank you everybody who's been sticking around, sticking with me, listening to this nice little story that we got going on. I hope you guys are all doing good. I'm sorry for intermittently putting like ads on, but I wanted to put it during like it would be good to like be able to do like some monetization things to like put it back into doing stuff directly. Like I reckon I can afford some more like games that I can play for you guys, which should be fun. I've already got actually sorry, we're speaking on plans for a minute. I've got some plans to do after this because I've actually had so much fun like narrating this story, and I feel like it's gone into my head a lot more. Like actually reading it through like out loud, and I feel like I'm narrating it to somebody else rather than just going through it myself and reading in my head. Because I tend to blitz through these games really fast, but it's like we're at like probably over 20 hours of content on this at the minute. So I'm probably going to do some of the other Vampire the Masquerade text-based adventures. I've specifically, I believe, right now, I have, let's have a quick look. Yeah, I've got Parliament of Knives, and I've got Night Road, and I'm thinking on grabbing some more of, like, that kind of stuff to read, if people would be interested. And also, we're going to finish Bloodlines 2 as well. Hopefully, at some point. I don't know how far through we are in that game. But I did go through the other night and I found all of the IAO security cameras. But I still can't find that one fucking Anarch symbol. I gotta find it. I don't know where it is. I'm mad. I also can't find the last cross. Because I think I'm like locked out of going into the garage now. Which is upsetting. Anyway. Yap over. We continue. So you're killing yourself, Melody says. At least online. I feel close to dead after all the mistakes I made, but I want my enemies to think I'm all the way dead. She looks at both of you as data streams across her ashen face. I'm not what I used to be, Celine, but I'll help you if I can. I'll need a few days to get set up and build some new scanning equipment and to rebuild my weapon. No, Melody says. But no phasers, disruptors, blasters, or agonizers, Melody says. You're on probation. Daphne sighs and says, I'm going to rebuild some goggles. Right. Let's try to shore up some of our defenses. You talk the idea over with Podge over a breakfast of suicide cereal, leavings and sweepings from store-brand Frosted Flakes and Cheerios. And the Bone Nora says that he'd like better camera coverage and better anti-countermeasure security systems. I don't want my measures to get countered. I want my counter to I want to counter the counters, he explains. Extra wiring that doesn't cause interference, maybe some off-the-shelf detection programs that we can modify. Or someone we can trust to get this stuff. Oh, and we need a couple $100. How much do we got in our bank account right now? Let's see. We got like $1,000. It'll cut into our 11 days of training. But let's improve the household security a bit. Podge knows his way around household security, and he's primarily a bomb maker, and since he's a living bomb maker, he follows all the instructions in order. This means that despite his casual attitude towards private property, dinner etiquette, personal space, and regular haircuts, he's a stickler for the procedures. While he's already surrounded the Benicky estate with individual security systems, a camera here, a reinforced lock there, he's having a hard time adapting the plans he's downloaded to the House of Usher, where the three of you live. You see 3 ways to help Podge in his goal, by creating a unified hardened security system around the estate. First, you could carefully put some holes in some walls and run wires through them. That would help Podge avoid over-reliance on Bluetooth and other wireless technology, which is vulnerable to hacking. Second, you could dig into the computer hardware and see if you can improve it. Third, you might be able to get in contact with some grey market contacts Podge doesn't use and get better equipment. The Bone Nora knows how to scrounge, so the whole project will cost you only a little more than $100. Let's do streetwise, because I can't do computer or mechanics. It's important to think like someone who would test the security of your perimeter. You know exactly what you want. Someone checking out Podge's cool motion sensor or whatever saying, oh, this is an X from Y I read on r/pen testing. That's its weaknesses are A, B, and C. You want something obscure, so rather than heading down to Hollyoak to talk with Podge's Greek and Armenian buddies, you visit Smith College, a small liberal arts school. Smith College is not known for its hacking subculture, but you've interacted with the people who sell drugs to the smithies, and they are 1, cool as hell, and 2, extremely concerned about securing their gear. So after 3 long, careful conversations, during which time you offer to scout a few areas and report back, some things are possible only if you're a master infiltrator, or you can just turn into a wolf, you start getting advice. It's almost more than you can remember. Specific circuit boards that are publicly available but possess functions that not even Podge knows about. Otherwise, unknown weaknesses in a camera brand that Bone Nora wanted to buy. More and more and more. Your contact shunts you to a tech geek across the river who works out of a dead mall. He gets you all the equipment you need and never asks a question. You hurry back with your treasures, and Podge is duly impressed. Awesome, he says. Redundant hardened systems for everything from cameras to flash bombs. Flash bombs, you say? I haven't actually built the flash bombs yet, Podge says, but I dream big. Okay. I think it's time to try to give some of our glory to the spirits and help with the humans and stuff. Wait, actually, maybe we should do that when we've improved some of our, like, leadership skills, maybe? Actually, no, we're going to review the data. Podge uses a disposable laptop in case the files contain some kind of spider virus, but everything boots up clean. Should we tell Daphne what you start to say? Absolutely not. Podge says, here we go. Internal emails and memos. Security schematics, unfinished or discarded advertisements. You and Podge spend a long night making your way through all the great stuff he found here. You start your GRC Media's work greenwashing. You start with GRC Media's work greenwashing Chemicon. There's all sorts of information here about brownfield redevelopment plans that will be invaluable if you ever try to scout Chemicon. Second, there's some heavily redacted data here about the Teufelsschand. What the hell is Teufelsschand? Podge asks. Good fucking question. He opens up dozens of tabs on his laptops, then says, Devil's Hand. Cool. Those appear to be scans from one of Eater of Names' notebooks. The material is fragmentary, but as you read, you suddenly understand what Melody was talking about when she investigated Mountain Street Scientific, looking for the moth things that attacked you outside Esther's restaurant. Hey Pod, remember when Melody went looking for the moth femora last winter while you explored the data line and I ran down Scarpa's last days with Nin? Yeah, the Bonora says. She smashed the whole place. Look at this, you say. Though often misinterpreted as a swarm of spider-like or moth-like femorae, the Tufelshan is a single extra-dimensional organism that exists in a part of the Umbra where space has more than 3 dimensions. This gives the Devil's Hand the ability to reach through and into our reality, and also to nearly vanish from sight by leaving only a single carapace limb climbing to the edge of our world. No wonder those moth things move so weird, Podge says. They're not moths with lumpy wings, they're just hands clinging to our reality. The Tufelshand's capacity for both stealth and violence has made it a frequent ally of worm-tated Garu, a debased mortal sorcerers, but its powers are not limitless. Its perceptive abilities are hardly greater than natural animals. And from research conducted by Glasswalker Umbranauts in the 1960s, it cannot actually move far from our reality. The 4-dimensional void in which it lives is as hostile to life as deep space, and it requires the warmth and food supply that our reality offers. This means that if all of its manipulator wings could be destroyed, it would fall into the void and presumably perish. Ooh, interesting. The joint GW/VE efforts to accomplish the goal named Operation 3 scan pages fully redacted. What's a VE? I don't know that tribe. Oh, look at this. VE. Could that be like vampire stuff maybe? I don't know. This looks a scan of old printer paper, not known to reproduce except in that one incident, which was hastily contained. However, the jigsaw-like pattern found on the face of the animals is consistent with 17th century reports of the spawn of the Devil's Hand. Similar patterns have not been reported since the failure of the operation. Podge sits back and says, "You know, we haven't been back to Esther's. Remember those animals in the webs? Maybe we should check and make sure there aren't any infected animals. One of these monsters is bad enough, I don't want it spawning." As you're running a work errand on Bridge Street one afternoon, you decide to slack off by checking your P.O. box, and there's another letter from Black Tarn. You tear it open. Much activity to discuss. I am coming. There is a monkey with too much knowledge of too many strange things working for a company called New England. Near Albion, no doubt. The monkey has tried to catch me a few times, but without success. I'm going to take a 4-footed trip east, and I will see you soon to discuss what I have learned. BT. You make sure Elton sees the letter, and he's excited, but then weeks slip past, and then a second. Something is wrong. Elton investigates with his Stormcrows, and you try to track down every lead you can think of without physically travelling back to New York. But Black Tarn has suddenly gone silent. Is she hurt? Captured? You don't know. Ooh. Spooky, spooky. Let's follow up on the GRC media site. The building burned down to the foundations, interestingly. Burned to the foundations. That's a full stop. That's a full stop, me. What are you doing? We've been nearly doing this for nearly 9 hours. What the heck are you doing? You can't recognize a full stop? Interestingly, it still has a web presence that's pumping out propaganda, but even the online version is a shadow of its former self. You sniff around the wreckage, careful not to draw police attention. The first time you go at night in Lupus form, nothing. The second time, you go in the afternoon in your Homid form, but it's just a blackened rectangle. You looking for the woman in grey? A man says when he steps out of a coffee shop across the street and notices you looking. He's dressed like a corporate drone, but his teeth are bad and his knuckles are scarred. Recently pulled himself out of a bad situation, you think. The woman in grey, you ask. The man takes a long drape from his vape pen and says, "You've heard about the Men in Black, right? Well, every part of Men in Black has a leader in grey. I saw her, grey coat and a grey scarf stained with blood. But all that soot never touched her. Then she left, and a van pulled up and some guys loaded this mushroom-covered thing into a black van like, you know how mushrooms grow out of a log? There were mushrooms growing out of a piece of metal." Shit. You hit the guy up for anything else he remembers. Info on the van, anything weird about the loading crew, where Giselle, you're guessing it's Giselle, went, but he starts to get a little erratic. This guy's obviously hasn't eased into that white-collar lifestyle yet. You leave him alone before there's a rage-related problem. One last search of GRC media. Nothing but smoke. Let's check my phone. Nothing. What's going on with our bank? Okay, that's okay, I guess. I think, yeah, let's finish healing up the area. The prison project is in chaos, but Podge reports that the cult of Fenris is still trying to move forward with development. And despite their brutal, straightforward nature, Henrik is a philodox, a magistrate of the spirit world who knows how to command the rage-maddened pantheon that has sworn itself to Fenris Wolf. You need to act before he reaches into the Umber and reshapes reality to his liking. You and your Garu spend days in negotiation and planning, speaking with protesters, media personalities, and the spirits of the ancestors until you're ready to act. On the first night, you slip past the security cordons in lupus form, each of you heading to one of the patron spirits. You bow before Gorgon and call upon her for blood retribution. While you hone the Dark Lady's fury to a razor edge, your packmates get to work too. Melody addresses Behemoth, her interpretation of Unicorn. Elton invokes Kaikias, the Ice Wind. Podge addresses Stag in a spirit of fellowship, bringing him butter and rum from Rat as a sacred offering. Nin somewhat reluctantly negotiates with Mira Synonyx as a wolf form. She pleases the bestial god of the Red Talons, even if the feeling isn't mutual. The next week is spent coordinating with humans, preparing for a massive protest, and teaching them what to do. You also contact local and state media to prepare for what is to come, while monitoring the cultists, but the cultists seem to be arguing with each other, even as the work continues in the prison. They're unaware of what you're planning. The night of the insurgency is a blur of frantic preparation for your consciousness. A blur of frantic preparation. Your consciousness almost crushed under the weight of the patron spirits. The sky churns blackly. People have ringed the construction site for days, shouting, sabotaging, getting arrested. Dark clouds hang over the paralyzed worksite for a week. Politicians and contractors abandon the project, but the protesters keep the pressure on. When a private security contractor assaults a journalist in Hollyoake for asking questions outside Everlight HQ, you can feel the pressure building in your brain. Something has to break. And then, at sunset, the skies open up. The crowd cheers, screams. Standing under tarps, the protest becomes an impromptu celebration because it's obvious that the site doesn't have a chance. The police and security personnel run like headless chickens. Nothing to shoot at, no one to hurt. This is a spiritual war. They flee to the sprawling parking lot. And of course, find their vehicles disabled. The regular humans did a great job there. Yes, tire slashing, let's go. The media captures everything. You spend most of the night getting regular people the hell away because a few minutes before midnight, a mudslide washes across the site, obliterating everything in a million tons of green. Gaia has regained this land, and the humans are lucky to bear witness without dying in the process. When it's all over, you can hear a great howl. Gaia. No, it's Fenris. Howling, screaming, roaring, defeated. Yay! Morning brings the first news reports. 2 dead security personnel that no one will mourn. 5 arrests and already protests breaking out around the police station, blocking traffic, spreading chaos. Over the next week, 4 politicians resign and 2 companies suddenly dissolve as financial scandals rock them. GRC media keeps cranking out optimistic reports, but GRC is just AI slurry now. It's over. The prison will never be built and the land can start to heal. Let's go to the woods! You return to the spring woods. Nin is howling with the local coyotes in her lupus form. What do the cave bears want again? Oh, it's only to Gale Stalkers. Okay. Then let's devote some Knights of Glory to Squirrel. That thing has all the squirrel spirits nervous, and you and Nin agree one afternoon to figure out what the problem is. You split up and follow Squirrel deep into the woods until you find the problem. A Broadbrook standing stone covered in the cult of Fenris runes. They throb a baleful red until the light of the setting sun. So you have come, a deep rolling voice says. A shadow rises from atop the standing stone, the shadow of a squirrel. You have come to confront Ratatoskr, god of the crooked woods. A black sun rises behind the squirrel spirit, defiling the true sun. Come on, man, I don't have time for this. What did you do to our stone, you rat demon? If you can't fix it, I'm stepping on you. You smeared your Fenris runes all over our stone, a gross violation of the laws of hospitality, among other things. So you're what, a squirrel Nazi? A squatsy? Is that what I'm looking at? I am the prince of the world tree, master of the Thor hearts. Why do you need that many hearts? Are you also a cow? What? No, cows have 4 stomachs, not 4 hearts, Ratatoskr said. And hearts are... I'm pretty sure I know how cows work, you say. Enough! Ratatoskr screams. Runes crawl across his body as he manifests a spear and a pickle hulb of burning shadow. I'm not here to play at riddles, but to rage war against maggot wolves. Traitor cowards, face me if you dare, milksop cur. Who are you? I'm Nin, Nin says. She's still in her Hobbit form, dressed in torn jeans and her favourite Thou t-shirt, the one with Sophie Scholl on it. Unhand me, you spawn of... Nin picks up Ratadoska. Despite appearances, he's always an ordinary squirrel as a host body. And pops him in her mouth. The spirit screams as Nin chews. In seconds, Ratadoska is no more. I'm glad I was born a wolf, the Galliard says, because if I grew up a human, I'd probably find a lot of this stuff really weird. The Galliard wanders off, leaving you to listen to the Squirrel Spirit's thank you song. It takes 3 hours. Once you've toppled the defiled stone, you receive the leap and scramble blessings of Squirrel. I abandoned my awareness. Let's do that really quick. You ask Gorgon to help you stop worrying about what other people think, and she gladly complies. Did that take away? Yeah, I had like a dot of awareness or whatever. Let's check on our places. So we still can't go to Carly. Let's go to the Barrows. I can go to Pankiller, but he's a dick. Right. What have we got going on? I think I want to get my resolve up a bit more. If I can, because I think that'll help against the answering tiger. Beans. Oh, beans, chat. That was a bit too creepy right now. So we're just going nonsense. Okay. Let's maybe try to do resolve. Maybe stamina? Because that'll help with our boy, what's his name? Hedgehog. No, Porcupine. Fuck. Roscoe is in Turfside Dino having... Ah! Okay. What the heck? That was so mean. What the fuck? What the hell, boy? I can't believe you did that to me. That's so mean. Maybe we do wits. Let's do some wits. I got 5 free days. So let's go to Lucinda. What have you got for me? Oh, Lucinda is down for a few days with COVID. You can't get it, or perhaps it's more clear to say that changing into one of your supernatural forms also cures any disease you might have, but Lucinda is miserable and she doesn't want anyone around for a few hours. Oh, no. He shakes your hand when he sees you. 3 days. Let's do some real combat. I'm going to be the most stacked out fucking Arun you have ever seen. Right. Let's go to Roscoe, but Roscoe has COVID. He's staying in the house of a friend who's away for a week until he's feeling better. Then you can't get sick. Roscoe is probably well enough to move around. Your training mostly involves other people, and the promoter doesn't want to spread the disease. You'll have to wait a few days until he gives you all the all clear. That's disconcerting. Because there've been lots of talk of another plague. Like Stormcat was talking about, this could be the site of a second pandemic. So I'm wondering if it is COVID or not. Interesting. It's time to deal with the cult. I'm going to go to the Elton's flat. You return to Elton's flat and open the Book of Hungry Names. The Book of January, and several other occult reference books have been stored in a small cell-like room with a single cushion and low desk. Elton has given you the key to the first lock, told you where the key to the second lock is hidden, and you know the combinations of the first, fourth, and fifth locks. Among the more impressive cult treasures, in Canabula and first editions, it looks so unassuming at lined ruled hardcover notebook, little black shoelace-like strap to keep it sharp. Maybe $5 on Amazon. You can feel its baleful influence. What is Eater of Name's actual goal if he believes Gaia is dead? Why here at Broadbrook? Is there some power in this Khan in particular? What does Eater of Name get out of this? I think... why here at Broadbrook? Despite the notebook's disorganization, answers to this question come quickly and almost coherently. As Gaia's putrefaction spreads across the world, we know which lands will die first, and we can exploit that death intelligently. The Middle East will burn, and its desperate masses will flee west to the security fences and drone armadas we have begun to construct with our corporate assets at Gemicon. The melting permafrost will bring plagues against which humanity have no defense. For a time, we will see a return to a previous age where rich and poor alike die. But that will pass, and we will be ready, with new ways to cull the population and manage the decline. But none of this explains why Era of Names targeted this area in particular. There are lots of places like Chemicom. After an extensive discussion of those regions of the Earth that will burn first. One second, I'm just going to take my meds. I just realised what the time was. Once again, the mention of time kicks something off in my brain, but I don't fucking know what. I'm so dumb. The ideal location from which we can view the end of this age include the following features. 1. A cool mountainous environment sheltered from catastrophic weather events. 2. A strong bourgeois democratic government that will remain stable as long as possible. 3. A base of technically literate, incurious and politically apathetic humans. He lists over a dozen locations from Switzerland to Colorado before continuing. From our purposes, the Pioneer Valley of Massachusetts makes an ideal location, especially given 2 and 3. With the extensive computer networking there, we may even be able to restart the old Gaia Research Company. A media campaign to greenwash our operations would keep the native population passive and incurious as to the very end. Unless you and your pack dealt with it first, of course. There is only one problem, the local Garu population, but I would like to propose a solution. The solution isn't on the next page and your head aches. You wonder if you should show Daphne what you've read here, but you don't want her falling into self-doubt. She's already lost enough of her spiritual authority. You set the book aside. Your head aches. It's 9 in the morning. You check your phone again because last time you got yanked into work and you don't need more surprises. Then you check the oil painting out of Elton because the last time the background appeared to move. Wait. The oil painting of Elton? You look around Catherine Aslanian's apartment. Oh no, not again. This is definitely the same kind of dislocation you've experienced before, like at the Neo-Albion base. And you couldn't remember which humans took you there, and at Gorski Manor when you spoke to Catherine through the monitor before Nin hauled you back to the real world. You're in the same apartment you visited dozens of times before, but it's full of furniture, where Elton's is increasingly barren. Bright new poison green wallpaper, already impregnated by the aroma of Sobrani's, covers the walls. Sobrani's are Catherine's cigarettes. Elton's oil painting hangs over the fireplace in shades of grey and crimson. When you push aside the brocaded arras and look down on Main Street, it's been converted to pedestrian and bike traffic only. Main Street is crowded despite the early hour and the light drizzle, and then suddenly it all vanishes and you're in a kind of unfinished third-floor stage set. Blue tape on the ground, exposed walls, cheap or fake furniture, everything gone except the masterful oil painting of Elton. Outside looks vaguely similar, except old cars are parked on the street, and the exterior walls are all new. They look cheap and artificial. It's like the whole fake town out there. The spring sky is real, but the air smells like freshly cut wood, and you can hear the sounds of construction nearby. Great, some kind of umbral prison. I stick close to the painting, that might be my way out. I try to clear my mind and see truly which of these realities is the real one, or are they both? Are there any people in the sitcom stage reality I'm seeing, or am I alone? I check my phone, has it changed? What about the contact list? I stick close to the painting. You've tumbled through some weird pseudo realities in your time, but the Umbra has a certain weightlessness, and you don't feel here. You don't want to move too far from the painting, but this room feels like a physical place in the real world. You glance down and see what you're wearing, your normal tactical clothing. You have your dagger in your backpack, some janky old iPhone, no Wi-Fi like in Elton's real apartment. You open up your Wi-Fi options, but nothing is recognizable, and everything is locked down. Where are you anyway? You scan the doors in the window, but there's no kill team waiting outside, so you check Apple Maps. Great Gaia, no, that's not possible. You lean out the window and check again. You're not on Main Street in Northampton. According to Apple Maps, you're in the middle of Broadbrook, exactly where you could never reach before. You've seen this landscape before in the drone recordings of the Battle of Graves Farm. You can see how the landscape hasn't changed, but it's the same place as where Catherine died. That's when you see the riot cops jogging down the street towards your location. 12 police officers armed with less than lethal ammunition and clear shields. Some combination of run and hide seems best here. What's my best option of the two? Does the painting have any answers? Yeah, because the constellations changed before. You pick the painting up, turn it around to note the etchings on its frame, carefully touch its rough surface. It's definitely Lucinda's style, realistic features in electric colours. Last time you read the Book of Hungry Names, the Stormcat told you that the stars hadn't changed, but the constellations had. Elton's background is red clouds, but this is the first time you've seen this painting. They're maneuvering through some kind of combat obstacle course, shooting and ducking as they pop off shots at painted stand-ups. It's a training area. You circle to another window and see another pack of cops getting ready to assault a rudimentary copy of Pulaski Park. It's all a training area. You're inside an entire artificial city built for cops, less than a mile north of the real thing. Oh my god. Go, go, go! The second squad moves into a fake Pulaski Park, shooting their less than lethal rounds at mannequins. This is where I should say something philosophical, isn't it? About how we distinguish the true from the false, the real from the simulacrum. Good morning, Stormcat, you mutter, watching the cops finish their sweep. What's going on here? Chiminage is going on, Celine. Desperate chiminage to pay off a debt that Eater of Names may never be able to pay. Go on, you say. The Answering Tiger is a god that failed, but even a fallen god can create worlds. To defeat the Garu at the Battle of Grace Farm, Eater of Names conjured dreams of a victorious world where his enemies, even as they killed each other, victorious world for his enemies. Even as they killed each other, he imprisoned their dying mind in that world, a world where they won. You've seen glimpses of that world, as the Answering Tiger struggles against his bonds. But here's the thing, Celine. Have you noticed how strict the spirits of Broadbrook are with their chiminage? Meticulous rules, careful hierarchies, and these distortions of your soul they always demand of you. That's not their pride. Those are the rules Broadbrook carefully enforce to prevent werewolves from digging themselves in too deep with the spirits. Your old Pax Theurge, Black Tom, tumbled into the Umbra to pay spiritual debts. Daphne Clear says she leveraged to the hilt. She has isolated herself, not just out of shame, but to frankly pay down her spiritual obligations. An Eater of Names is leveraged to the hilt, you ask? He came back from the dead with the help of the Answering Tiger. I think you need to understand the Tiger better, though, to understand what has happened. And how could I do that, you ask? The Tiger died too, just like the Eater of Names did. Seek out his tomb. This is what we've been waiting for, an opportunity to reach Broadbrook. I've got to check this place out. Okay, but how do I get out of here alive to tell Elton and the others? People are not going to be happy when they realize dozens of companies are clear-cutting a forest to make a police training facility. Eater of Names has torn the Umbra to pieces around here. What is up with these paintings? What is up, I say, flicking my tail in an elegant fashion to show you how hard I'm working to explain these complicated matters to a mere Garu. Is that the painting of Elton you see now? This the spiritual counterpart or the real one in his apartment? This painting is part of the Answering Tiger's false reality, the one where the good guys won. As you said, Eater of Names' work has torn the Umbra so badly here that the painting fell into the physical world. You may be able to use it to return home, though that could be dangerous. Or you could just walk home. You're a mile or so north from town, and the guards are looking out, not in. You grab the oil painting, which isn't that big, and consider how to get out of here. I slip into the woods, hide patiently until no one is coming, and return home. I use my knowledge of these streets and how the cops move through an urban environment. Can you take me to the cairn itself, Stormcat? I take some of the cops below me with my dagger. A fight is risky, but I can escape in the chaos. I call on Hu Yi and flick knives and huck him at some cops. That'll clear a path for me. So is there some way to use this painting to get home without escaping physically? I already explained that the way the painting changes reveals perturbations in the Umbra. I can't explain it any better because my explanation would perturb the Umbra in a way that prevents you from understanding. You may be a werewolf, Celine, but we don't share much common ground mentally or perceptually. Yes, but the painting doesn't change. I've only seen this one, you say, studying Elton's portrait. Perhaps you can work it out if you're smart enough and carry the painting back with you. Sadly, I cannot explain it to you, so that would cause the pattern to change again. It is the limitation of spirits. Let's get the ever-loving fuck out of here. Should I go Glabro? Let's have a look. I think we can just get out of here easily, but let's go Glabro first and do some resolve survival. No reason to do anything heroic or stupid. You wrap the painting in a tarp and hurry down the stairs. Then hurry south towards what should be Pleasant Street. You can't avoid the cameras since they're everywhere, but you move fast, avoiding the gaggle of cops. Before you reach the location of GRC Media in the real Northampton, you're in the woods. All those cameras mean you draw attention. When you look up, drones drift through the sky, hunting you. Police dogs snarl and whine as they try to pick up your scent. But you hurry through the spring woods, crossing a stream, and then scramble over a rocky outcropping to leave no signs of pursuit. They can't find you once you leave the surveillance perimeter. And there's no fence. But though you expect the world to feel less numinous as you move away from the cairn, the air suddenly feels thin and strange. Because I'm drawing your attention to it, Celine. You really need to hide right now. You do. You dive behind a fallen log slimy with moss, then peer out and see them as clearly as I do. The Duffel's hand, picking its way through the forest in the harsh light of morning. You can plainly see how the moss are in fact claws that dig into reality. You can almost perceive the thing itself, the central mass of the animal that dwells beneath the umbra. It's looking for you. For us, Celine, be careful. And then most of the limbs disappear and it races away deeper into the forest. You wait, and so do I, because I'm not stupid, but it's gone. You've eluded it for now. Moving cautiously, you get back to the real Northampton around noon, then spot Elton chatting in the farmer's market that operates behind his flat. He's scoring free samples, but when he sees you, he knows something's up, and leads you away from the humans. You consider where to begin. I start with the oil painting and explain outward from that weirdest mystery. I reach Broadbrook, and frankly, I think I deserve to celebrate how awesome I am for doing that. Is the book safe? I'm worried about security. They're building a police training facility at Broadbrook. I start with the oil painting. You check the painting first to make sure it hasn't changed into Catherine or just vanished, but it's fine. Then you show it to him. Lucinda's work, he says. But look, love, I'm willing to believe in a lot of things, but parallel universes are a bit Star Trek, don't you think? It's not a real universe, you say. You explain what the Storm Cat told you, about how the oil painting probably fell out of the answering tiger. Elton makes notes in a spiral-bound notebook for transfer to the Book of January. That explains the hallucinations you've experienced, he says. And it might be our weapon against the tiger. Then you tell him about everything else. The police training facility, the Stormcat speculation that Eater of Names is creating it to pay down his spiritual debt to the answering tiger, and the contents of the book you were reading before you appeared in the false flat. I don't want the book and this painting in the same place, Elton says as you hold up his likeness. The Benicki estate has a safe room in the basement. Put it in there. I'll send Lucinda over to examine it. I saw that pop up just because I was checking for a couple seconds. You meanie. You absolute meanie. What the heck? Oh my goodness. I don't want the book and this painting in the same place. Blah, 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 blah. I'll send Lucinda over to examine it. I'm also going to borrow Nin. She and I are going to scout your path with the Song of the Moon path right now and see if we can't retrace your route. But in addition to the supernatural concerns, the existence of a police training facility is a crisis for regular humans. We need to get this information out. I'm not sure I want regular humans involved, even as allies in our defiled sacred space. The humans here will hate that training facility. If we're careful, we can use that anger. I wonder if regular humans already know something about this operation. Do your contacts have anything? Throw some angry humans into the woods and let Neo Albion chew them up. The scandal will expose what's going on. Yeah, they're going to hate it. That's what I'm thinking, Elton says. The local hunters are a bit tepid in their political conviction. Humans, not hunters, in their political convictions. But the combination of environmental harm and police funding will galvanize some of them. I have already encountered hints and rumors about this facility, and now we can reveal it on our own terms. To cause as much damage as we can to Neo Albion and Eater of Names. Agreed upon your goal to rally humans to your cause. You spend the rest of the day letting your Garu companions know what's going on. The news will gradually trickle out to local musicians through Nin, the crosspunks and hackers through Podge, and the remaining members of the three families through Melody. You nod. When do you have work? Elton asks. I'm off today, you say. Miracle of miracles, Elton says. Start by making a circuit of our territory and telling the other Garu everything you saw. I'm going to make plans to see the answering tiger. To what? You ask. Do you know about the Vermont Yankee nuclear plant? Elton asks. We nod. You nod. We need to check it out. Definitely. We could speak to the Triple King. We got nothing going on right now. I think so. Sequence of events right now. Visiting the Vermont Yankee Station is going to be useful. Then getting rid of the Teufel's Hand. The Teufel's Hand. I think that's how you get the more German pronunciation. Because it's patrolling the can. And then getting rid of the cult. Or maybe the cult's somewhere in between. I don't know. Okay, we're going to go visit the corpse of this thing. The former site of Vermont Yankee is less than an hour north, right over the border. Shut down in 2015, it's off limits to the public until 2073. You checked. But you and your pack might be able to find something. Neil and Melody run up there in lupus form just to refamiliarize themselves with what used to be Broadbrook territory. and to expose any obvious veins. Nothing. At least nothing in the woods outside the plant. So the next week, you, Elton, and Podge take the truck up one afternoon to get a little closer. We're not going in, at least not yet, Theo says as Podge gets off the highway. I just want to look around in the Umbra. You missed the battle over the Vermont Yankee shutdown, right? You ask the other Garu. This was before our time, Podge says as he parks at the new hydroelectric plant on the Connecticut River. He stares at the river and the woods of New Hampshire and the far shore. Maybe that's why we're still alive. Okay, let's go, Elton says. You park in a grassy meadow within sight of the Connecticut River. The publicly accessible part of the site is about a mile upriver. A cold wind blows down off the mountains as Elton takes the lead. His scarf streams out behind him. So was there a Bane at Vermont Yankee or something, Podge asks? Like a bigger and worse version of the pig guy at Chemicon? Some Garu say Gaia died at the Trinity test in 1945. The first nuclear bomb stopped her heart and everything else has been just twitching in spasms as brain death sets in. Cool, Podge says. Should we get dinner in town here or drive home and stop at Johnny's roadside diner? My point is that nuclear power represents something inherently malicious. It's very, very true. When I berate you for failing to notice the spiritual aspect of our work, Patrick, or when I criticize your confidence in humanity's wisdom, Salim, it is always the spectre of nuclear power that I'm thinking about. To humanity, nuclear power is a rational political and economic calculation, an attempt to find the least worst way to provide for 7 billion hungry mouths. Is it better or worse than coal or oil? Hard to say, especially with all the fear and propaganda swirling around everything. From the numbers I've seen, it was probably better up until recently, in solar power rendered it less than ideal. But for us, for Garu, we can see the truth. In the spirit world, nuclear power is the apocalypse. It makes it difficult to take humans too seriously. It's a miserable burden seeing the truth of the spirit world. Who says we see correctly, Elton? The spiritual sensitivity of the Garu is overrated. You underestimate humanity. We either teach them the truth or we're all doomed. It's frustrating to know the truth and see how helpless and ignorant humanity is. Yeah, it's frustrating. Podge puffs in irritation as he crests the rise and looks down on the decommissioned power plant. Oh no, I'm gonna sneeze. Oh, don't do it. Don't do it. No! Be powerful. Be strong. Ah! No. Okay, there we go. You know what I see every time I look into the Umbra? I don't see any truth in the spirit world, the Bone Nora says. You know what I see every time I look into the Umbra? Something different. It's always changing. You're not going to find the truth in something that never stays the same. As you look around, Elton takes out a folding knife and cuts a quick mark in the air. The razorite you used to see the Umbra around Broadbrook reaches all the way up here, it seems. Maybe it's the proximity to the Connecticut River. Sorry, one sec. Ugh. Oh, I didn't press that mute button. Ah! Okay. Okay. Oh God, Podge says, stumbling back from the umbral vision. You only catch a glimpse of the black tower beneath the black sun, boiling in an endless green sky and sea of sulphurous fumes and balefire radiance. You stumble away coughing, your retinas burn with alternating black and green stripes. Beside you, Podge falls to his hands and knees on the muddy slope and throws up. Elton flicks the knife through the air again, banishing the vision. You blink tears out of your eyes and look down on the ugly concrete cube, but can still see the after-image of the answering tiger. This is not a struggle against a political or economic entity. The spirit world is primary. The answering tiger is real, and that pitiful little decommissioned power plant is one of its claws, one of its protrusions into this physical world. Clay's pack stopped the oil pipeline, but it returned in umbral form, worse than ever. You saw the pattern line. Broadbrook worked with humans to decommission Vermont Yankee, but the real thing isn't Vermont Yankee. The real thing is a dying god that haunts our dreams and plots to blind humanity so no one can fight back. So what the hell do you expect us to do? Podge says. He spits, taking his swig from his water bottle, spits again. Here, look again, Elton says, flicking his knife. No, just fucking tell me, Elton. I don't want to see that Event Horizon shit again. Had you looked more closely, the Theurge says, in the huffy way he uses when someone isn't meeting his expectations, you would have seen much of the local Umbra is illusory. What you saw is quite bad, true, but the answering tiger uses what we hate and fear, the sight of the apocalypse, to frighten us and constrain our actions. Since the tiger is actually at our cairn, the illusion here are in effect pallid. That didn't look pallid. Holy shit, dude, what the fuck? What the hell? Not what the fuck. Because Cooking Pod's brain to prove a point is rude, Elton. Wait, it's like a wooden owl in the garden meant to scare birds away. Is the answering tiger trying to hide something valuable here? I take out my knife. I gotta see this myself. That's impressive and creative, Elton. What does it tell us? I gotta see this shit for myself. Please, no more, Podge groans. I am wayfish and delicate. Actually, Elton says, as you pull your knife out of your poncho, I prefer if you did not involve yourself further with this investigation. What? Why not, you say? Because the answering tiger has targeted you directly on more than one occasion, which tells me either you're unusually vulnerable to its influence or it hates you even more than other Garu. So where do we start? Podge says, staring directly at the decommissioned power plant. He's too stubborn to back down now. No glorious charges today, Patrick. Among other problems, I think the answering tiger reacts badly to large groups of Garu. Only one of us. Let's run some more tests before we go home, then one of us should reach the site and try to learn something valuable. I don't think it's a good idea that we don't go. Because all of them seem to have been whammied by it in the past, and we seem to be the only one that has been successfully breaking through these illusions. It's not even a complex you spend the rest of the afternoon poking holes into the umbra with your knife, and you think Alton is right. The answering tiger is showing you what you want to see. You're seeing what you instinctively hate and fear, something that makes you want to attack mindlessly until it goes away. It's not even a complex trick, Podge says, taking recordings on his phone. His lips are blue, even though the wind isn't that cold. Selena's right, it's just a wooden owl. That might change if one of us gets close, but let's not. Yeah, I've had enough, Podge says. You hike back to the truck. It's completely surrounded by local police. Did we leave anything in the truck that can be tracked back to us? I take out my phone and start recording. I want names and faces. Damn it, I left a candy bar in there and now I'm hungry. Shit! Not my Snickers. Let's see, how are we doing on relationships? Okay, we're doing pretty good with our buddies. We could beat them up. Did we leave anything in the truck that can be traced back to us? I take out my phone and start recording. I want names and faces. You and Elton get as much information as you can until Podge says, come on, we gotta go. They might have eyes in the sky. As you fall back into the wood, Podge takes out his phone and starts placing a call. Leave Roscoe alone, Elton says. We can shift and run home. Podge's call connects. Behind you, the truck explodes. Oh shit, mate. How many did you kill? Elton cries. Those are just regular cops. Fuck regular cops, Podge says. And probably none, unless they hung around after the speaker said, a bomb is going off in 10 seconds, but that should hide our trail. I fucking love him. He's so good. It's a 4-hour run in lupus form to an old safe house in Greenfield that's just an abandoned farmhouse with a fireplace and some canned food. Melody restocked last year. No electricity, but it's close enough to a bar that you can get data. You soon have a nice fire going. The next day, you're able to finish your run back home. Once you're there, everyone heads to Melody's barrow for dinner. She's right that so many Garu are dangerous in the middle of a city. She keeps different soups for dinner and pies for dessert, so she's hard to refuse. After eating, the 6 of you discuss Vermont Yankee and who should conduct an extended scouting expedition. It has the potential to be dangerous, but you might be able to learn something valuable about the answering tiger. Once again, no one wants to make a decision. While Melody finishes her wine, Nin occupies herself plunking away on Harmony's old mandolin, while Podge, who hates cleaning, starts to clean. Elton looks around for a book so he can look busy, finds only a James Harlan fantasy novel and decides to read the back of a cereal box. Daphne dabs her mouth with a napkin and smiles, as if it's really funny that you always have to make these decisions. Elton, you're the scholar, good luck up there. Melody, talk to the people around there and see what you can learn. Podge, get online and then head up to the physical site. We need your insights. Nin, you know the name of the spirit. See if there's anything there that isn't a slave of the answering tiger. Daphne, you and your drone have I think Nin's going to be any spirits that are there or spirits that she can free from the answering tiger, because its focus is elsewhere, because it died there. So I'm assuming like it must have. Let's see if Nin. Are you sure she can? Elton starts to say, "Hey, fuck you," Elton. Nin says, "She's capable. She's got this." And we can't just treat her like a baby, but just because she's wolfborn. Nin glares at him for another moment. She's increasingly impatient with Elton treating her like a child, then turns to you. I'll need to speak with the Connecticut River directly. Then I can use my Song of the Moon path to prod my way into the center of the building and look around. Does anyone want to ask me if I know what radiation is? Melody sips her wine. I might be gone for more than a week, Nin says. Nin stumbles into the Benicki estate at 3 a.m. and starts removing her bright yellow radiation suit. Burns mark her cheek and forehead, but when she sweeps a burning Geiger counter over her body, there's only a faint crackle. Looks like you got a little cooked, you say. I met so many interesting spirits in Vermont, Nin says. Unfortunately, many were Banes, and they tried to kill me, but I still learned a lot. What did you learn? Nin's eyes are clear and bright, and you know she understands everything about the answering tiger. But can she explain it? You let her organize her thoughts. Catherine wrote a lot about nuclear power. She said that its existence shows that humans couldn't really be trusted to govern themselves, not because they were wicked, but because they were blind. By human logic, nuclear power was the best of a number of bad choices, better than coal or oil or letting 5 billion people die. But we know that in the heart of every nuclear furnace lurks the apocalypse. I'm quoting her exact words there. So, you say, carefully leading the wolfborn and trying not to throw off her train of thought, what does that mean? Humans only see half the world, the Vermont Yankee plant, but we saw the answering tiger, who is the power plant on the other side. They are the same thing from different points of view, and when we attacked Vermont Yankee, it was to destroy the answering tiger. But there are... Hold on, I need to look up the word. She takes out her chunky phone and scans an article. There are incongruities between the physical world and the spirit world, or maybe they're just delays, like it takes time for a change on one side to reach the other. In this world, Vermont Yankee was defeated, but in the spirit world, if your name is known enough, you can live on. You've seen this in the cemetery, the spirits of the Garu. The tiger limped on, until he met Eater of Names. The tiger convinced Eater of Names to use him and the false words he could create. In his attack against Broadbrook, it worked and the tiger fed. Now he's stronger than before, even though he doesn't have a physical version, but he wants more. He wants more lies to feed on. That's why he's forcing Eater of Names to make the stats. That whole place is a lie. It's food for him. To make him even stronger, the Eater of Names is so far in debt to the answering tiger that he has to do it. Actually, I want to talk to you about the Song of the Moon Path. Ruining our sacred land to build it probably makes the Bane happy too. So let's rip stats apart and watch the answering tiger drag Eater of Names to hell for non-repayment of debts. Okay, so the answering tiger is the trickster god. How do we trick him back and make sure we win? So all these people the cops are terrorizing to build their playland is just so Eater of Names can get out of a debt. How do we trick him? I've been made aware of the central problem, Nin says, that if you think you've beaten the answering tiger, it might be a trick. Podge used the term Bayesian priors, which sounds like something he made up or read in one of his stupid theory books. But it makes sense. I don't know how we can win, but if we do, we have to let other Garu know. Eater of Names isn't just one werewolf with one bane. He's putting together a kind of program that will let the worm win. We need to understand it and tell other Garu how it works. But there's more than just that. We need to get our cairn back. The spirits have suffered so much and we need to start healing them. And also we need to do something about what he's done to regular people. Stats, the Expanded Provisional Council, Harvard Development, Neo-Albion. They are all our enemies. What do we prioritize, you ask? Who says we'll get that chance? Nin says. Also, I want to talk to you about using your Song of the Moon Path to reach the cairn, you say. It's also on your checklist and now seems like a good time. Nin looks at you blearily. What? She says. Oh right, the Wolfborn doesn't change topics easily. Especially after harrowing journeys through Bane-infected wastelands. You should wait until tomorrow to ask Nin about her song. You're about to ask Nin some more questions when you realise that she's fallen asleep at the pile of spare clothes and fanny packs you keep in the entryway. Okay, so we may not have the chance to do everything. I think the cult is a big part of it. 2 days of training, okay. I think it's time to deal with the cult. We've put it off for long enough. Oh, wait, not yet actually, in that case. Can we do this? Okay, not yet. Let's examine the oil paintings. You don't know if these paintings are supernatural in their own right, or if they are merely receptive in some way to the mess the answering tiger and Eater of Names have made of reality. But now it's time to find out. Alton takes the oil portrait of Catherine to Melody's barrow, and you join him there with the other oil portrait. The one that depicts him, Lucinda, and Melody, that depicts him. Lucinda and Melody are already there. The one human looks a bit nervous to be around 3 Garu, but she's ready with books on chemistry, art, restoration, and even alchemy. Harmony's books, she tells you, unloading notebooks, sketch pads, a laptop, and a pile of alchemical primers in German and English, ranging from reprints of 16th century manuscripts to modern ethnobotanical texts. Do you understand any of Harmony's work? Elton asks Lucinda. What am I, a wizard? Lucinda says. Of course not. But sometimes understanding is in the hands. She wiggles her paint-stained fingers. You do something and you understand it. I'm hoping I can duplicate whatever I did when I painted this portrait. That's made it so important. And whatever the other me did to make this one. She sets the Elton oil painting in its shade of red and umber on the mantel and studies it. Absolutely my work. Explain to me again where it came from? Celine read a Black Spiral Dancer's book and got teleported to the version of Elton's apartment that's in Stats. Stats? Lucinda asked. The System Security Training Strategy and Technical Zone for the fake Northampton used to train the police in riot suppression. That's it. There, she found, Melody says, there, she found this painting, fully realised and took it. We suspect that it's a fragment of the Answering Tiger's false reality that the Black Spiral Dancer used to deceive and destroy the Broadbrook cairn. Celine has previously been contacted by animate fragments of that false reality that threatens to pull her all the way in. Holy Moses, you people live like this? In this every day? Is this every day for you? You and the other Garu sort of shrug. Yeah, more or less. Okay, Lucinda says. Let's get to work. We're going to turn this miracle into technology. We're going to build us a door. Easier said than done. Either Catherine encoded some kind of supernatural effect into the painting, or the Answering Tiger's presence and the existence of the Elton painting has caused some kind of weird resonance effect to take place, or some third weirder thing is happening. As a Garu, you've learned to live with bafflement, but Lucinda wants answers. She turns all her vast education and technical training to finding them. Soon, Melody's Barrow is a fulminating alchemist workshop. Podge delivers extra fans. Elton handles translation because Lucinda and Melody can both sort of read German, since the palace dialect of Yiddish was heavily influenced by German-speaking Czechs. But sort of is dangerous in alchemy. Melody serves as Lucinda's technical assistant, and Daphne knows dozens of chemical engineers and art historians and occult researchers. She made them all available to Lucinda. A laptop is permanently open with one Zoom or another. You consider what you can do. I systematically, tirelessly search the books for answers. I lead Lucinda to the answers by keeping her calm and comfortable. Lucinda, can I help with chemical research? Do you have anything you need? Can I make a run into town or anything? Lucinda glanced down at the laboratory equipment. I could use some better gear. Unfortunately, the only people I know who have better equipment are drug dealers. Old high school friends, you know. I can give you some names of addresses if you want. She's messing around with a Bunsen burner and can't seem to get it to turn on. You're not a technician and you don't know what the problem is. Also, Lucinda says, I could use a lab assistant. Nothing highly technical or significant, but what I need is someone with fast hands who can swap out beakers, adjust burn levels, that sort of thing. Let's get the equipment she needs. Lucinda draws up a list of everything she wants and every dirtbag you might be able to get it from. Then hands you a wad of questionably sourced cash. Don't get robbed, she says, and don't tell anyone that I want my stuff back so I can do alchemy. She gets to work. She gets to work with the help of Elton as translator, Melody as lab assistant, as you take the bus south back into town. You end up at the same low-income apartment complex that you and Nin investigated when you were retracing Scarpa's journey into the valley. You talk with Lucinda's ex-boyfriend's brother's ex-girlfriend. She went clean a few years back and sold her supplies to someone whose name you recognize. One of the bike thieves who hangs around the parking garage. So that's your next stop. You find the bike thief working a late shift at the pescatarian restaurant next door. Bike thieving doesn't pay like it used to. And chat him up after ordering a drink and dropping a generous tip. He loans you a bike trailer, then gives you the phone number of the stuff's current owner. After 20 minutes of texting, you get the address of a self-storage facility, send a payment via Cash App, and get the combination to the lock. Here it all is, an entire chemistry kit. You check off everything on Lucinda's list, then load it into the bike trailer and ride back. With all this gear, Lucinda finishes the last half of her work without difficulty, moving so fast that she can't actually explain to anyone what the hell she's doing. After another frantic hour of work... Oh, it's just bubbles in my... I was like, what is that? It's just bubbles in my juice. After another frantic hour of work, Lucinda tells everyone to meet her outside. I understand everything now, Lucinda says. The full moon shines on her ruddy face and wreathes her frizzy hair in a silver halo. She looks utterly mad. Perhaps the fumes got to her. Go on, Elton says. The Answering Tiger is a fallen god, the artist says, eyes shining. All that remains of the spirit or demon that was the spiritual reflection of a nuclear power plant. For Mont Yankee, decommissioning it was the Broadbrook Garu's greatest victory this century. Nin was up there a little while ago. Strange alchemies transpire in a nuclear plant, and the answering tiger came to understand that, like any god, he could create worlds. He could even transcend his destruction in the physical world, the decommissioning of the plant, and live on in his attributes, in his names. He could create a world where he won and hide there, but these worlds are always illusionary. How does this help us reach the cairn? Enough theory. Apparently they're convincing enough from the inside. I want to make sure Melody is okay talking about gods and their illusions. Lucinda, are you okay? I don't want to burn out one of my human allies with a delirium. Enough theory, yeah. We need to know how this helps. Okay, I'm speculating here based on what Harmony wrote. Lucinda says as she holds up Elton's portrait. But this is a chunk of the answering tiger. He created it and it fell into our world. Right now, he's at the cairn, right? Right. When we visited Vermont Yankee, we saw evidence of his lingering presence, but he wasn't there. Harmony hits this point again and again, that every part of a spirit is the spirit. She talks about something called the correspondence point, and I honestly don't understand everything she means, but if we have a piece of the answering tiger, we should be able to reach any other piece of the answering tiger. You just have to be able to follow the path through the Umbra, to where all the parts are still connected as a whole. But that's a major problem. I don't know how to follow a path through the Umbra. I barely even know what the Umbra is. Now, one of Catherine's texts mentions a whippoorwill spirit, but I don't know anything about spirits or how to translate Garu mysticism into this sort of simple alchemy. I'm able to work. I'm going to start research on. Elton is chuckling. What? Lucinda says. Nin knows whippoorwill, the Theurge says. One of her gifts is the Song of the Moon Path. I bet she can use it. And this, he holds up the portrait and gives it a melodramatic little pump in the air, like it's a trophy, to reach the answering tiger and the cairn. Celine, talk with her about this. I'm going to write up everything you've done. Oh, so can I go to bed? Because I've been doing all this Vercacti sorcery, and I'm just a painter, and I'm not cut out for this, you know. Spare bedroom is all made up, Melody says. Lucinda stumbles back down the grassy hill and goes to bed. And don't you have work? You check your phone. You have work. But you're getting close to the cairn. You can feel it. Okay. Oh, cautious Dre! Thank you for throwing your frogs at my face. I get a cute little honk. Thank you. Make sure you pay dividends to the axolotl of safety, who is down here, and also Freenos is watching you from on high and is proud of you. Sorry, I'm getting a little bit silly because I've been going for 9 hours and 47 minutes, and I'm probably going to need to stop at some point to make food. I think I'm going to make some curry because I got some chickpeas and such. Let's speak with the Triple King about the Answering Tiger. You haven't spoken to the Triple King since binding him, but you've researched him and any relation he might have to the Answering Tiger. According to Garu cosmology, the Triple King is technically a weaver spirit, dedicated to the orderly procession of the ceiling. Thank you, Heart. It's alright, I'm slightly drunk. That's okay. Thank you for the first time chat. I hope you're doing good. Make sure you're staying okay, you're staying hydrated. I didn't do that on Halloween and I nearly died. Eat some, carbs, or hopefully you carbo-loaded before you got slightly drunk. And, just sit in for the story. I'll tell you a good werewolf bedtime story. Triple King is technically a weaver spirit dedicated to the orderly progression of the seasons and the rites that accompany them. Though from the old world, he's not unlike the Corn Maidens, harvest spirits that are still strong in North America, even after the European conquest. By contrast, the Answering Tiger is a Bane, a spirit of the worm. They share powers of illusion, but their substance is fundamentally different. Of course, that all assumes that Garu cosmology accurately captures what these creatures are. You've interacted with too many human occultists to view the Triad as the universal model for all spiritual phenomena. Even if the Triple King is of the Weaver, you're not sure that gives you any useful information. The drone was of the Weaver, but what does that tell you? Elton, Melody, and Podge assemble at the foot of the stairs, leading up to the pumpkin spirit. Then you climb one at a time up the rickety steps, past the Temple of Simur, the patron spirit of the Silent Strider tribe, to the Triple King's secret chamber. Melody frowns at the offerings and pagan graffiti, the carved plastic effigies, and King Crimson CDs, then heads back down the steps to make sure no humans wander in. Elton strides up to the tabernacle without fear and stands in the center of a mostly dustly, empty attic room, illuminated only by a flickering neon sign for the Turfside Diner outside. A short ritual and we should be able to speak with him, the Theurge says. Watch for tricks, obviously, but I doubt he'll cause trouble when he's outnumbered like this. You consider what to ask the spirit, and even if he'll be able to understand the questions you put to him. As Elton flips through the Book of January and reads a passage. King of this frail world, from the red field of slaughter, from the reeking hospital, the patriot's sacred couch, the snowy bed of innocence, the scaffold and the throne, a mighty voice invoke thee. He recites, cool. Podge says, what is that, Nirvana? Close, Patrick, Foo Fighters. The pumpkin opens and the Vernal King materializes in a radiant emerald splendor, filling the attic room with bloody roses and twining thorns. Reminding yourself that it's just a trick of your mind and shadow, you step through the thorns to stand beneath the flower crown and the ever-blowing green face of the king. In all my power. Yes, Elton, I see the fear in your eyes. I am no less a spirit, and though you bested me once before I could complete my apotheosis, I am still a god here. One god among many. Elton says, Simmer and Rat have spoken with Patrick about how you've tried to interfere with the lives of the people here. The man looks at a river and says, the river's path is determined by the geology and gravity, but I make my own choices. The Naga looks at the man and says, his fate is set by doom and destiny, but I wind my way freely across the landscape. Who is right? I will answer your question for you, Elton. I am. I make this world. I shape the rivers and I shape men. Without me, the river would be dust, and humans would be no more real than you. An empty skin full of rage and need, pretending what is real. We're here about the answering tiger. We can still win. Enough, you lost and you will serve. Answer Elton's question or else our weapon is rage. I let the Vernal King talk. It's good to get a spirit's view on things. This is the second worst stand-up I've seen this week. Get new material. Find courage through laughter. With the Triple King, was it that we had to go against our nature? I don't remember. Because I'm from purpose through dignity. I'm close to we can still win. Our answer is spirit. I'm only like one step towards this track. Sorry, I am replying to a message. A massage, if you will. I think being direct, we'll hear about the answering tiger, is going to be the best way to go. I circle, but I sense no weakness in you, Celine. No hesitation. No, you know who you are. That's a rare thing in werewolves. Okay, now we're getting somewhere useful, Podge says. Like my therapist used to say, please expand on that. I permit myself a moment of dramatic silence, then I expand on that. You understand that Garu commands spirits, not through mere rage, but by showing us what is within. No clue. I'm liking the stand-up line personally. Very fair. Very fair. But with this spirit, you have to sort of know yourself. Or we have to stick with like the decisions that we've already made and the convictions that we've been sort of like sticking to as much as we can. And we're on the very much the we can still win. Even though Gaia is... I might do another playthrough at some point where I do find courage through laughter. Might go the sort of like Ragabash Philodox route. Like my therapist used to say, please expand on that. I expand on that. You understand that Garu commands spirits not through mere rage, but by showing us what is within you. To be true to oneself is a sacrament when confronting us, and in the end, when the time is right, all of you will have to strike at the answering tiger with who you are. Ah, but it is not so easy as that, because the tiger lies. He will conjure fantasies and try to learn who you are, so that he can manipulate you, so that he can bind you tighter and tighter with his lies. When you find yourself in one of his false worlds, do not show who you are, who you really are. If you do, you are lost. Now get out of my temple. The Vernal King vanishes so abruptly that the three of you reel as if you just crash back into the physical world from the Umbra. Elton hastily concludes the rite while you and Podge discuss what you've learned. The discussion carries you downstairs where you find Phil Melody in, then across the street to the Turfside Diner where you discuss the Vernal King's words while eating fries and drinking milkshakes like young Garu probably did in the last century. Melody drops a dime into the ancient jukebox and pays the Janettes Sally Go Round the Roses, completes the vibe. Let's have a look at my phone. How are we doing for shmoney? We've got $200 to our name. Holy shit, that's more than me in real life. That's crazy. Right, we're gonna go deal with the fucking cult. Because the cult of Fenris suck and we hate them. They're very stinky. Oh, we're coming up on like 10 hours and I'm still fucking raring to go, dude. I'm having so much fun. Once again, I see why audiobooks are so damn long. I'll stop around because I do want to catch the Numbskull stream tonight. Which I think is like midnight. Let me check. 1 second. 1 second, chat. Yeah, I believe it's tonight. Oh, shut up, Battlefield. Nobody cares. Right. Yeah, I believe it is at midnight. The next Skulls stream, as it were. Okay. Something you didn't understand as a reasonably secure middle-class kid is how many institutions exist in a kind of grey legal area. Not technically permitted, but allowed to persist as long as they don't cause too much trouble. In its first incarnation before you were born, Hogthrone was a mobile disaster area, half concert, half squat. The kind of temporary autonomous zone that scares normal people worse than the delirium. The Straits tolerated its explicitly illegality only because it served as a kind of pressure valve for all the freak energy at the end of the valley. Oh, I have Jaffa cakes. Ah! Jaffa cake hype. Okay. Wait, I'm just gonna have a quick one very quickly. Oh, my water bottle went cold. That's sad. Okay. The Straits tolerated its explicit illegality only because it served as a kind of pressure valve for all the freak energy in the valley. And maybe because they envied the desperate freedom of the people who used it. And maybe because they wanted to capture and monetize it, as normal people have done to so many expressions of the wild, the creative and uncontrolled facet of Gaia. Hogthrone is more tame than in its current incarnation. In its current incarnation, with fewer acts of performative public mayhem. Maybe because the old illegalist anarchists who started it have grandkids in sciatica. But it's also more politically active now, with ties to women's shelters, police abolition movements, and of course environmentalist groups, which is why the Garu use it. But despite its increasing air of political legitimacy and the increasingly family-friendly advertising that has middle-class liberals trying to push their bugaboo strollers through the crowds of screaming metalheads and crust punks, Hogthrone's directors haven't lost their radical edge, and they are seriously starting to piss off the rich and landowners who control much of the valley. Fuck yeah, let's go! And when rich landowners get mad, they know who to call. Though there's been no repeat of the cult's attempted arson, human provocateurs watch the crowds, just close enough to make people anxious, occasionally supported by local sheriffs. Fortunately, you've kept a low profile so the cops aren't too numerous. I don't know how that's possible because we just blew up a car and maybe killed a cop. Although, to be fair, that was up in Vermont, so... Hogthrone rotates venues, and you want to get a feel for the place before the Amherst show, so you move through the shows in Leeds and Chesterfield, scouting the crowds and letting your mood shape your rage. I prowl the crowds and dispose of any troublemakers with extreme prejudice. My goal here is information. I aggressively interrogate people about the cult of Fenris. I hang back because I don't want to ruin it for regular people or risk tearing the veil. I let the humans fight among themselves as Al, and I study the spirit world. Let's get some fascist punching going, chat. let's kick some fucking racists in the balls. Hogthrone security is serious and capable, but they're just regular people. They're blind to the signs of spiritual corruption that Al reveals to you. Some troublemakers are worse than sadists or fascists. They're magnets for banes of violence and despair. You and Elton move through the crowd and remove any human collaborators at risk of the same kind of hegemonic attunement that humans call demonic possession. Melody's subsequent treatment of the cult's acolyte is harsh, but better than turning into a Fomor. But you worry about the overlap between Bane-marked sadists and the humans who serve Fenris. The cult's foot soldiers are increasingly worm-tated, even as it ramps up its war against the Eater of Names. Nin patrols across the river, and though she finds evidence of cult activity, she can't locate their moot site. She's convinced that the cult of Fenris has claimed idols from the Deercross Pack, the werewolves massacred in Hollyoak, and she'd like to get them back. The Deercross Pack were mostly Red Talons, and while the Child of Gaia considers the Red Talons brutal and fanatical, they also have the most wolfborn of any tribe. She'd like to see their idols returned. Did I accidentally put it on repeat again? I did. I'm a silly sausage. Okay. So I was hearing that song a lot. I was like, what the heck? This is going to go on for too long. She'd like to see their idols returned. Daphne, working from her secret lair above the laundromat that you never used, even when you lived around there because it sucked, has turned up reams of data. Names and addresses for members of fascist street gangs Heinrich bought in the area. So secret trap rooms for white nationalist police organizations, shell companies for Hood development and Neo-Albion. Lots of scarred and tattooed faces, but she can't find the cult itself, so they've kept quiet. But though you want to focus on the cult, you hear other stranger rumors from the crowd. People are talking about sickness, some kind of infection. Yeah. Through the more vulnerable populations of the valley. The Stormcat hinted at something similar, but she revealed little. Everything people say is secondhand. My cousin's co-worker says his ex-boyfriend got sick and disappeared, that sort of thing. And no one seems to know what it is, but the rumor's persistence is uncanny. Okay, our allies got sick as well. Mere rumors have to wait. I need to deal with the cult/Chemicon situation. I know he's busy, but I'm busy, so I let Podge know. I want to loop Nomi in. I can't investigate now, but they might uncover something. Let's do that. You gather a few names and faces for Nomi, and they promise to check it out. Letting Nomi know about your contacts is risky, but the journalist is good at ferreting out information. As the weeks pass and the summer nights go from warm to hot, Daphne confirms that the cult's closest allies will be at the Amherst Hogthrone show. The umbral skies darken as Elton unleashes his Stormcrow spies. The spirits return to the rooftop where the old Shadow Lord once sat in judgment. They have the answers you have all been waiting for. Heinrich, Vinlison, and Roland will all be nearby. And Giselle might actually be there, and so will Alexios. Who the bloody hell is Alexios? Elton asks. Either you or the nearest Stormcrow. Is that the cultist who overturned the truck? Seems likely, you say, remembering how the cult ruined your best chance at learning more about Chemicon. The spirits have whispered that name, Nin says as she tunes her acoustic guitar, feet dangling off the edge of the roof. A red Talon who abandoned Miracinonyx, the ghost tutor, and joined the cult of Fenris. That's all I know. You shoot a text to Daphne, but she doesn't recognize the name. This is so frustrating. Our real goal was stopping Chemicon from poisoning the river and working with Eater of Names, and instead we're dealing with the cult. Are you sure it's wise to go into this blind, Elton? The cult might be stronger than we thought. A former Red Talon, he might be the sort of mindless enemy of the worm that we can use, that we can turn into a weapon against Eater of Names. The cult is spreading, corrupting once honorable Garu, feeding on the grief and the despair. We need to stop Fenris for the good of the Garu nation. I don't like the idea of a Red Talon around all these people, even a former Red Talon. They're monsters, man killers. I fear the massacre, Elton. Yeah, the cult is spreading real bad. If we play our cards right, Elton says, this might be the beginning of the end of the cult of Fenris, at least in the valley. But I don't like this new complication, this Alexios. We need to find the cult's moot site and figure out what's going on. Say Homunculus is on first, which Nin hates, but that's good for you since you'll be able to wrap up the show early and look for the moot site. It's the 4th of July show, so you actually want to get out of there early. The cult of Fenris may have deliberately tried to burn down a show last year, but you expect that college kids with fireworks are more dangerous than Fenris worshippers with a deliberate plan of arson. Oh, Zoriamel's nibbly again, chat. Oh, no. Ah, okay. So more dangerous for Trevor picks Nin up in his cube just after dinner, so they can practice. A few hours later, you and Podge hop in the truck and pick Melody and Elton up in the middle of town. You're all helpless prisoners of the Bone Gnawer as he launches obscure left beef criticisms at the anarchists who run Hogthrone. He won't even let you turn on the radio. You scouted the area before, but never been to a show here. Apparently, the Children's Museum lets Hogthrone do its messy things in a disused annex as long as they don't trash the place. Since this is one of Hogthrone's all-ages shows, management usually keeps things pretty clean, and they now have a good relationship with the museum. You pass a familiar landscape between Hampshire College and a permanent farmer's market, near an apple orchard and a solar field. The sun is still up and the crowds are hanging around outside as Podge parks and you pretend to hand $20 to Roscoe's friends who's working the door. Roscoe okay? The old guy asks. He's fine, Melody says. Just don't go looking for him. You follow the Philodox as St. Homunculus starts their sound check. Whoops, I did not mean to do that. Head inside. Chapter 9. The Very Hungry Caterpillar. Oh! Interesting! When I was playing a game of Vampire the Masquerade, our coterie was called the Very Hungry Caterpillars, which is peak, and I love it. When the lambs is lost in the mountain, he said, they is cry. Sometime come the mother, sometime the wolf. Cormac McCarthy, Blood Meridian, or the evening redness in the west. But was the caterpillar called Colin? That is the real question. We should have forced one of our members to change their name to Colin. You are correct. And then we should have beefed with Tesco. The neglected annex of the Children's Museum looks like a featureless white warehouse from the outside, but it's the same old hog throne inside, a bar that's already sticky, the ball pit where under 18s can get soda, small amps near the stage because Roscoe got sick of lugging the big fake amplifiers around, the actual hog throne, a nightmare of paper mache and gouache, is back. Goosh? I don't know. Thanks to Lucinda's restoration work. Stuffy porky pigs dressed as cops hanging from the rafters around it. Across from the hog are small folding tables where the old farts sit because they can't stand up for a whole show anymore, and because Hogthrone makes a killing on catering. The table area has a kind of Viennese cafe vibe, with lots of fake Darkwood and Weimar era cabaret posters. The old goths there are dressed like bad guys. Wait. What if I put on some, like... Let's do some crazy, just like... Yeah, we'll put on some funky music. Gonna turn it down a little bit. A scotch. The table area has a kind of Viennese cafe vibe with lots of fake Darkwood and Weimar era cabaret posters. The old goths there are dressed like bad guys from an Indiana Jones movie, while the even older punks and metalheads sweat in their leather jackets. Podge palms a Linzer taut. Elton stops to chat with Roscoe's friend Marlon. He stops talking and frowns when Melody turns around. Where are you going? You ask the Philodox as Nin Band sound checks backstage. We're across the street from a children's museum that hosts drag show story hour and a Yiddish museum, and this place is about to fill up with fash. I'm going to make sure they're okay. Okay, text if there's trouble. The Silver Fang outranks me. I'm not getting involved. We're here to stop the worm, not protect humans. What if a fight breaks out? I'm not getting stomped by the cult because Melody is visiting friends. Okay, text if there's trouble. No, wait, Melody, you didn't tell me you were going to... Elton says, but Melody ignores him and walks back outside. The Theurge shakes his head after she's gone and mutters, damn it, the humans are here for us, and Gaia, not the other way around. St. Homunculus takes the stage and opens with the brilliant cover of Spanish Bombs. Roscoe always wants the starting act to open with a cover, as he believes it's less likely to trigger a stampede at the front doors. As people file in, the band switches to A Field in Asturias, one of their resounding instrumental numbers that lets Nin show off her technical chops. You spot some regulars as the crowd surges, including Nomi, but you don't see any cultists or their human acolytes. No Roscoe, of course. He's rolling around the valley again, but he keeps a careful distance from Hogthrone. You sniff the air and smell Chesterfields. Does Giselle know that even in Homid form, a werewolf can pick her out in a crowd? The witch stands beside the bar, dressed in a boy London shirt and a leather hat. Despite the heat and a ragged muffler covering her neck, her eyes are red rimmed, sunken. They dart nervously around the room. She's been chewing her fingernails bloody. You keep hearing rumours of the cult's presence at Hogthrone shows, though none of your mortal contacts talk about Fenris, or understand exactly what threatens them. Podge makes casual inquiries about Alexios, obviously using the classic werewolf investigation technique of hoping that someone will corner him in a bathroom and try to beat him up so he can turn the tables. Elton's posture is more defensive. He's standing in the corner with a Corona, scanning the crowd with the help of his owl spirit, alert for threats. You watch the crowd. Sem Homunculus rolls from their instrumental number to Lap of Math, a tech death number about a cool wizard. It sounds like a Van mural looks. Nin's fingers are a blur as she plays. You get a text from Daphne. I've attached a database of known collaborators. Look for these individuals in the crowd. 5 hard-looking white men with names, handles, and identifying characteristics, scars, tattoos, piercings. This should help. Okay, let's do another... I call on Al, sneak around the parking lot, and patiently search parked cars for oddities, unfamiliar tags, for oddities, unfamiliar tags, items left on seats, anything that might lead me to Fenris. Resolve investigation. I call on Al and head into the woods for a half hour and look for trail signs, Fenris marks, or trash that might lead me to them. Res survival. I have to misrepresent my interest to prevent Nomi from tagging along, but I bet they know something. I stay cool and chat with them. Calm subterfuge. I pay attention to Giselle, careful not to draw her eye, and see if the witch reveals anything. Yeah, let's do this. Being loosely affiliated with Hogthrone means you can come and go as you please, but you also need to be careful. Regulars know your face, and you don't want to harm the pack's largest source of income, known shows. So no breaking car windows. You prowl the parking lot with your hood up, trying to look casual, and inspect the Thrash sports cars and pickups. The usual ephemera inside, phone chargers, jewel pods, coats, bumper stickers with local radio stations or tattoo parlors. You're starting to think this is a dead end when you spot a belt in the back seat of a brand new black Camaro with damaged rims and a Molon Lay bumper sticker. The Carhartt beanie on the seat inside matches the beanie worn by one of the men in the photos. Daphne sent you. You take a picture of the car inside and out, then you head back inside and find Elton. Does this car look familiar? You ask the Theurge. He flips through the pictures and stops at the belt. Jasper's, he says instantly. What? That's Jasper Heaney's belt. That's a Jasper Heaney belt. Melody wears one when she's not worried about changing. This is a car outside? Yeah, and look at the tires. So, Elton says, zooming in. Yeah, it burned down, right? We need to check out the old Heaney place. Saint Homunculus is finishing up with one of their crowd pleasers, Who Smites the Tiger. You confirm Elton and Podge's location? Oh, I'm so sniffly. Who Smites the Tiger? You confirm Elton and Podge's location. You're wondering if you should ask them about Melody when you spot the Philodox heading back inside. She's picked up multiple trails, but after a moment you just realize they're guys, and one girl who wants to buy her a drink. After a few minutes, the Philodox introduces the girl to one of the guys, gets 2 of the other guys arguing about hockey, and hands you a solo cup. You fill her in on what you've learned. That corresponds to what I beat out of the guy I just beat up. Some human flunky knew about the cult's moot. Does anything bad happen? Are they attacking the places nearby? So we should let Lynn finish her song and check out the site. Eventually, Melody says, but I want to talk to some people here too. Melody, you just said talk to like with bunny fingers. Are you going to... I'm going to take a few Nazis around back and rip their dicks off in the parking lot, yes. Melody, my beloved! We'll fill Lynn in when she's done playing her little rock and roll songs. Saint Homunculus leaves the stage to raucous applause, having pumped up the audience for whatever mediocrities come next. Melody already explained that she doesn't want an expedition just yet. I don't think the cult will do anything like trying to burn down Hogthrone again, but we should put on more of an appearance, watch for trouble. Elton checks his pocket watch and says, also it's only 8:30, I don't want to hide in the woods for 3 hours. We'll meet up in an hour. Sorry, patrolling, Podge says. What are we doing? One of us should watch for more of the cult's acolytes. Another should look around but outside. But otherwise, I don't know, maybe we should just enjoy the music. This new band is halfway through a death metal cover of Joe Jackson's. Is she really going out with him? Or maybe it's Elvis Costello's Veronica. The vocals are really murky. Okay, not this music. Maybe the next music. Let's talk with Elton. This seems like, you know, we should be time to get our flirt on. Let's see if we fumble as badly as we did last time, chat, shall we? This isn't really danceable music, so you and Elton hang around the bar. They've got a mixologist now, and since he knows who Jordan Day is, you both get novel ethnic variations on the Irish car bomb. Here's to bad taste, Elton says, downing his mix of Sapporo and Shochu. You can't quite bring yourself to down your mythos and kumquat. How did he even smuggle this stuff out of the country? The theurge slugs down your Athenian car bomb and shudders. What was the cairn itself like back before the Answering Tiger? It's hard to imagine a more spiritually powerful slate than the one I've seen. Or was it like studying in Germany? It must have been great to be around Gari who knew what they were talking about. Do you really think we can use the cult of Fenris as living weapons? So you're looking especially handsome in spelling, especially like old books this evening. Let's fucking go! Last time we sat on the cheese. This time, we're sitting on that dick, chat. We gotta do it! Old books smell like vanilla because lignin, an organic polymer present. He's so bad at this! Present in all wood-based paper is closely related to vanillin. Elton says, my mum told me that. Why am I talking about my mum? That's what we want to hear. God, I'm bad at this. He laughs nervously. He's a nerd, chat! Some kind of scuffle at the bathroom draws your attention, but Hog's own security breaks it up before you or Elton need to get involved. Soon, you don't think you'll have much more time with the theurge. Elton settles his hands protectively on your shoulders. What was it like studying in Germany? We kiss him, chat. You pull him close, kissing passionately. His lips are soft, his embrace surprisingly gentle. A few more minutes of making out and then we should really return to the hunt for the cult. I drag Elton to wherever we can be alone and get him out of whatever he's wearing. We should probably just stay here and talk for a few minutes. We need to get back to work. Chat. Oh, we're fucking. There are certain physical needs a werewolf has that even the worst metal you've heard in years cannot stop. Elton chews on his lip as if not quite sure how to broach the subject, despite the feverish glint of desire in his eyes. Uninterested in wasting time, you grab his hand and drag him off the dance floor. This place has some offices, and after less than a minute of searching, you turn up a break room with a couch. Let's put on some more romantic music. Okay, there are certain physical needs a werewolf has that even the worst metal you've heard in years cannot stop. Elton chews on his lip as if not quite sure how to broach the subject despite the feverish glint of desire in his eyes. Uninterested in wasting time, you grab his hand and drag him off the dance floor. This place has some offices, and after less than a minute of searching, you turn up a break room with a couch. You know, it's strange, Elton muses. I always thought you start undressing him. Oh goodness, Elton says. He's so British. Once the theurge 30 realizes that you're not messing around, he pulls you close and kisses you passionately, then undresses you with the meticulous precision of someone who's spent years learning how to gift wrap for books. Then he hesitates. What is it? Ghost of the Past? This is way too romance movie. What the heck? Okay, this is cuter. Gift wrap books. Then he hesitates. What is it? Ghost of the past? Discomfort with how close other people are? I'm a little out of practice, he admits. I don't care, you whisper into his mouth. You dig the nails into his back. Then Elton snarls, pushes you against the wall, and takes you. Oh boy, chat! I'm fanning myself. It's 10 hours. We fumbled the bag so bad last time, but we fucking did it. We got ourselves a shadow daddy. We bagged him, chat. All you can do is grit your teeth so you don't scream. Okay, this is getting a little bit sexy. Viewer discretion is advised. All you can do is grit your teeth so you don't scream so loudly. The band stops playing to check their instruments for feedback. Elton burns with pent-up need. His lips are everywhere, his hands roaming up and down your body until all you can do is shudder gasp and give in to release. When your heart stops pounding, he cautiously lowers you down until you're slumped against him. He's gulping too, utterly exhausted. You okay, love? He asks, his lips against your ear. You manage a weak nod. You can't remember ever feeling this good. The waves of pleasure roll slowly through you. Sorry about taking you against the wall like that. Like I was in His Majesty's Navy or something. A bit disreputable, you know? You can't really complain. You can't really do much of anything for a few minutes, and neither can Elton. You just lean against each other gasping, sometimes kissing until the haze of pleasure fades. You know, I don't get it, Elton says, looking around once he can think again. You think everyone would have used this place to commit their awful sins in the dark, but it's not that bad. Maybe Hogthrone wasn't here before, you ask. I guess we should count our blessings, Elton says as he kisses you. Dresses you, kisses you, goes back to dressing you. He sighs. What, you ask? We need to get back to work, love, he says. Tell you what, I'll scout these corridors to make sure people were only using them for honest reasons. Sex, you ask? Exactly, sex, not warlockry, warlockry or anything like that. I love this man. Takes you where? To McDonald's? To a vanilla ice cream place? A bookshop? Nah, he takes me up against the wall, mate. Like he was in His Majesty's Navy, you know? No axolotl of safety here. He says. You watch the crowd. He kisses you again, then unlocks the door and hurries down the corridor. You reluctantly head in the opposite direction back toward the dance floor. The new band is better than the last one. Okay, we're going away from the sexy music and we're going back to the rock and roll music again. The new band is better than the last one. Some kind of ska Scandinavian death metal mashup that works pretty well. Corpse paint and pork pie hats in the mosh pit. You've had your fun though, and it's time to scout the cult of Fenris. Now where is everyone? Perhaps you're not the most perceptive werewolf, but you're still able to follow the crowd's libidinous anxieties until you find Nim sipping a Borg full of Gatorade and surrounded by people trying to work up the courage to approach her. She smiles when she sees you, and the crowd moves away. It's interesting to think about how terrifying normal people find the little wolfborn. Of course, you've seen her bite people in half, but most people haven't. Time to go, the Galliard asks. Tell Podge to load up the truck, and then we'll change outside, you say. You step outside, but something seems wrong. Off. You scan the tree line. No threats there. The crowd? They seem chill. Then you look up. The moon is gone. You arrived as the gibbous moon was rising, a huge howling moon, the moon Nim likes to play under, and it's linked to her auspice. The night sky is clear and full of stars, but you're a werewolf and you know where the moon's supposed to be, and it's not. Is this the answering tiger's work? You look for the telltale ripples of the tiger's interference in your perceptions, but everything appears normal. You feel fine. The crowd inside is happy, but the moon is gone. I text Daphne. She should be across the river. I need her to confirm this. It's Nin's moon. I look for the Garilliard. Her spiritual insight may help here. Elton is the scholar, and this is weird enough that I don't think traditional gallery law will help. I look for him. Where is Melody? This is a potential threat, and she needs to know. My main worry right now is regular people. Let's ask Daphne. Weird request. Could you confirm the location and phase of the moon? Well, what? It's a full moon, and it's in the sky. What the hell? You look again, but it's definitely gone. Is it some kind of gravitational distortion that only affects this area? Wait, no, now it's gone. Okay, I guess the world is ending. I hope my mum wasn't right about religion. And then the moon is suddenly back, as if it had always been there. A bright yellow gibbous moon. Shining down on Hogthrones. She said it was a full moon, though. False alarm, it's back again. I'm going to call my daughter anyway. The five of you spend the next 20 minutes discussing the strange event. Contestants point to some kind of bane said to have power over the moon. Elton and Melody need to go through Catherine and Harmony's letters in order to learn more. And you already have plans for tonight at Jasper Heaney's burned down farmhouse. It's time to change, baby. Okay. It's a good night for an extended run in Lupus form, but you still want your gear. Once everyone else shifts, Podge rolls out in the truck and heads for the old Heaney farm, while the rest of you cut through the woods. Since she's the most familiar with the land, Melody takes the lead, loping through the shadowed forest and the moon-drenched fields. You splash through a river, then sprint across a major road that connects Northampton to the University of Massachusetts, Amherst. Melody... right, we're going to switch back over to the spooky forest music. Daphne isn't here in body, but a cheap drone drifts silently overhead. She's monitoring the site, alert for threats. The pack fans out, moving in practiced silence. Podge is sitting on his truck across the street from the old Heaney place, scanning the tree line with night vision binoculars. You sniff the air, refamiliarizing yourself with the site. The old barn where you found the photo still stands. And what's this? Fenris marks, deep gouges in the wood. The cult is close. You catch the scent of Giselle's cigarettes after a few minutes and pad deeper into the forest, away from the river and toward a still dark lake. The others follow. You hear the faint rumble of Podge's truck as he moves it one last time. He's probably moving upslope, looking for a place to shoot from it in case things go wrong. Another minute takes you to the site itself. A clearing near the moonlit lake, so thick with ancient oaks on every side that you have to circle around before you can find a way in. You never would have found this place without knowing about both the college and the farmhouse. Three of you bear the owl gift that lets you perceive spiritual activity, but after a short investigation while Melody waits, you agree there are no protective marks or guardian spirits. The Theurge nonetheless hangs back, ready to scratch the wardstone's protective signs into the bark, while the rest of you push inside. The grass has been trampled into mud here, the woods raked by claws. Crude wooden idols stand in the 8 corners of the circular clearing, rough-hewn and monstrous. Wolves, a bearded man, a starry goddess, a 2-headed raven, a horse or stag with serpents where its legs should be. Fenris glyph marks the tree and stones. Stone marks out the fire pit. I move respectfully. However far the cult has fallen, this place is powerful and sacred, a place apart from humanity and its noise. Secretive as obscene, a false litany for a false nation. I mentally organize my iconoclasm list. We're here for information. I look around. Are there any Fenris spirits any of us could use? So this is the master race, huh? Gnome statues and mud. Okay. Let's be respectful. Let's be respectful. You probably have a greater reverence for these spirits than Heinrich does. To him, they are tools of his conquest. But though you see the spiritual world, the cult and the insanity of Fenris have inflicted on them, they are still sacred. They are still cool and quiet, far from the endless stink and scream of man. But as you nod to the earth and to each of the idols, wondering if redemption is possible for these blood-stained godlings, you notice that one is missing. Beside the fire pit is a stump where something heavy once stood, marked with fresh glyphs and dark with blood. Could that explain the moon's disappearance? You're about to ask Nin about some kind of rescue and rehabilitation program when it is perk up. They're already here, Elton says. It's not midnight, is it? I think I saw a clock through there, Elton says, pointing back the way you came. Melody takes the hint and hurries out of the clearing. Nin scrambles up a tree. You call upon Squirrel and follow her. Elton fades into the shadows. A second later, you hear howls and crashes. Vindlesen and Roland appear, first in their lupus forms. Vindlesen huge and rust red, Roland shaggy and grey like a wolfhound, with a distinct beard that curls below his heavy snout. 2 more werewolves cash through the entrance a moment later, both in their hispo direwolf forms, snarling and snapping. They're nearly identical, big, powerful, silver grey in the pallid moonlight. Black mud mars their chests and shoulders as they tear at each other, until they suddenly break apart. They circle for a moment around the extinguished fire pit, smash together with such force that your shaggy ears ring, then tangle with each other on 2 legs like bears. You fear that they're shifting into their Krynos forms, where the formality of this duel will give way to madness and murder. But they only fight on 2 legs for a moment before one werewolf slams the other to the dirt. You see the fallen werewolf's claws dig into the dirt, a human gesture of impotent fury, despite the lack of opposable thumbs. The victor snarls, huge claws, blood red and razor sharp, settle on one of the stones around the campfire. Then Heinrich shifts into his glabro form and rises painfully, circled by Vindlesen and Roland. Now you see the horrible wounds covering Heinrich's body, long hideous claw marks, spasms as the ghastly wounds heal. It is decided, the 4th werewolf says. You will not be permitted, no more challenges. In moments, all 4 squat naked around the dead fire in their hulking glabro forms. Heinrich refuses to look at Alexius. The new werewolf appears spry and young, but it's hard to tell what he might look like as a man. Unlike most werewolves, he has a wolf's head in his glabro form, with a long muzzle full of sharp teeth and eyes that shine like twin moons. He retains his claws too, which look fit to tear a man in half. Heinrich's power has failed, Vindlesen says, looking at the stump where something used to be. The Neo-Albion strike force never came back. Do we use the girl? I do not trust the witch, Alexius says, still speaking the primal tongue. She thinks sacrifice is a trick, a means to power. Humans always think there is a loophole, a way out, but there is only the price you must pay. Heinrich was a fool to permit her into his council. Heinrich glowers but says nothing. We must travel to Chemicon and destroy the worm thing there. Then we will turn our attention to Daphne Clear and the Lost Ones. Heinrich recovers some of his dignity as he and Roland start making plans for the assault on Chemicon. You've investigated Chemicon a bit, but Heinrich has obviously been busy and unsuccessful, as Neo-Albion apparently lost an entire strike force trying to take out whatever is hiding in there. Okay, this isn't... That's a bit too spooky. You've investigated Chemicon a bit, but Heinrich has obviously been busy and unsuccessful, as Neo-Albion apparently lost an entire strike force trying to take out whatever is hiding in there. As you listen, it's clear that no one It's clear that no one knows much about the Bane. Now they're stymied, and Alexios has laid down an ultimatum. They will attack on the full moon. The gibbous moon is waxing. You have 5 nights. Should we try talking to them, Nin asks. She's so talented with the primal tongue that she can communicate using only the movement of her ears and face. But I can't, so I stay silent rather than whisper and draw the cult's attention. I think Podge wants to use the cult as a missile aimed at our enemies. Do you think we can? They're rage mad and murderers, Nin. We can't reason with them. I shake my head right now. I just want to listen in. Okay. You keep your jaws shut. A twig falls from the branch you're on, drawing Roland's attention. You and Nin leap, squirrel-like, to a nearby tree, and descend until you're next to Melody. Elton joins you, his shimmering indigo fur draped in shadow. We're faced with the question of whether we can exploit the cult of Fenris for our own ends, the preservation and protection of Gaia. Patrick has argued that we can aim the cult at the Chemicon Bane and use them to. We are not squeezing anything good out of Heinrich and his Nazi industrialist pals. Melody snarls. Heinrich isn't in charge anymore, Elton whispers. Alexios doesn't appear to care about Heinrich's human-centric projects. He wants to destroy a Bane and get rid of a factory that we all agree is a problem. I say we help him, and if the cultists die in that factory, well, we've solved 2 problems. Cynical and over-clever, Melody says. Shadow Lord bullshit. It's not my plan, it's Patrick's, Elton says. For my part, I think we can win no matter what we do. Either we work with the cult to destroy the Chemicon Bane, or we take their territory while they're away and make sure they die at Chemicon. Oh, that's even more cynical, Melody says, but I like that one. We wait until they rush off to die at Chemicon, then reclaim our territory from them. These Volskara pretend to speak for the nation while stealing what's ours. Let's explore the place while they're arguing, then retake it while they're off fighting. These are desperate times and we need allies, even once this is based as the cult, and Elton is right. If they die fighting, all the better. We can use this Alexios. He's not like Heinrich. He doesn't waste time with humans. He's here to fight the worm, so are we. Yeah, we'll retake it while they're off fighting. No one here actually wants to work with the cult. So after a few last minutes of listening in, you crawl through the brush towards Pudge's truck. What, he says after Nin tells him what happened. You had the perfect opportunity to strike a deal with those idiots and you didn't take it? I'm not working with the cult. They're going to charge off and attack the factory anyway, Melody says, returning to her Homid form, stuffing herself into a sundress. And even without the whole Lebensraum thing, I don't trust them not to fuck it up. Lebensraum. Lebensraum, Elton says. Elton, I've told you not to argue with me in front of the children, Melody says. She turns back to Podge. The cult is going to charge into a worm pit like the stupid assholes they are, and they're all going to die. I want to be miles away when that happens. An explosion makes Podge flinch as he backs away from the truck, slowly through the woods towards the road. Fireworks, Elton says. We're missing the party, but I don't want to miss this chance. We have an incredible opportunity here to retake our territory. We know about the cult's moot site, and we know where they're going to attack at the full moon. Thanks to Selene and me investigating the Neo-Albion facility, we can now infiltrate and destroy it. See, Podge, cheer up. We'll be throwing bombs in no time. What's happened at that site since we were there last winter? I haven't been back. Just regular troops, or are we taking out the Silver Shotgun groups? I do not like the Silver Shotgun troops. Killing that many people will be destabilizing. Are we sure there isn't a less messy solution? Yeah. They started expanding the moment the ground thawed, Elton says as Podge rolls out onto the main road. Now it's the Central Neo-Albion Administration Facility, as the new Provisional Expanded Council moves to replace municipal cops with private security. But we sure Neo-Albion and the Cult of Fenris are still working together? Melody asks. The short answer is yes, Elton says. The cult's legitimate developers are physically building the Neo-Albion fortress. The long answer is that they're tangling up with each other in a way that neither group seems to like. And I think there are power struggles in Neo-Albion, just like there are power struggles in the cult. But we don't know which way Neo-Albion might break, Melody says. We might be able to find out more once we're inside, Elton says. But it's not like Neo-Albion is ever going to be our ally. They're either going to serve the cult or serve Root of Names. Whatever we do in there, it benefits us and Gaia. We're all going, Nin asks. If we're serious about getting rid of the cult, one of us should deal with the idols at the moot site, and one of us should follow the cult south to the factory and make sure that they all die, Melody says. I can collect the idols in the circle. Maybe we can restore them or... What? No! The physical idols are corrupted by the cult's madness. We need to destroy them to free the spirits and hope that in time they'll heal. Most importantly, we need to destroy them before they drive normal people crazy. Okay. Let's use Daphne. She could collect the idols so all 5 of us can head south. Elton, you'll collect the idols and see if we can restore them. Nin will collect the Fenris idols. I think Nin's the best one to do this. I don't want those spirits corrupting the litany with Fenris madness. Nin, destroy the fallen idols. Those idols are corrosive, so regular people and their well-being. Podge, burn the moot site to ash. Melody, it sounds like you want to destroy the cult idols, so you should. Let's send Nin. Do I just put them in a bag? Nin asks. Nin, you're the most spiritually sensitive werewolf I know. See if any of them are, sane, and if they're okay to carry. Carry them to the other idols in the woods. Who's going to watch the cult inside the Chemicon factory? Oh. Elton, Melody, or Podge? Podge is our Arun. But Melody is also very focused on, she does not want them coming out of there. Gladly, Melody says. She turns to Elton. Father, do I have permission? As long as the cult causes as much damage as possible to Chemicon, I don't care what happens to them afterwards. You have 5 nights until the full moon, which means an all-out planning and logistics push so you can conduct 3 missions in 1 night. Melody at Chemicon, Nin at the cult moot site, and the rest of you at the Neo Albion Fortress as Daphne feeds you information from her laptop. Your companions start by making sure Melody has access to as much information on the Chemicon factory complex as you can. Blueprints, night shift schedules, security contractors, recent news. Daphne provides you with reams of data on Chemicon. The company owns 3 overlapping facilities. A specialty plastics company. That's what that truck you hid in was transporting before Alexios destroyed it. A coal-fired power plant that Chemicon has promised to decommission or convert for the last 20 years. And a scandal-plagued landfill. Well, fuck, someone stole the moon. Sorry, I didn't see your message until now. Yeah, somebody stole the moon for a hot minute. It was the cult of Fenris. They're doing crazy Fenris shit. It's wild. I did not pay attention to where I was. Canterfield Landside. The news reports a shooting at the coal power plant a week ago. Daphne confirms that this was Heinrich's Neo-Albion contacts trying and failing to destroy the Bane, but the nature of the Bane remains elusive. As your packmates research the factory, and Nin scouts cult territory and make sure she can seize the tainted idols, you return to the Neo-Albion site you explored last winter. It's expanded massively since your last visit. The farmhouse is gone, replaced by a bleak concrete citadel atop the hill. Prefab buildings surround the central citadel. A 12-foot security fence topped with concertina wire surrounds the facility, and its extensive parking lot, which is full of high-end pickups and sports cars, even now at 8 p.m. Armed guards monitor the station near the only gate, and more are visible near the cinderblock garage and at a low barracks-like compound. This isn't just a private security facility, it's the headquarters of an occupying army. You know because Elton and Podge stayed busy after you talked to them about your strange hallucinations the first time you were here, when it was just a fence and a farmhouse, and now they have a full printout of everything they learned. You start reading. Podge and Elton weren't able to learn more about the nature of your hallucinations, but their research has nonetheless borne fruit. They used the apparent presence of Jasper Heaney at the site in your hallucination and cross-referenced everything Jasper ever knew with military connections. That yielded 6 names that you were able to connect to Neo Albion, 2 soldiers, 4 technicians. And that led to a highly placed contact in Hood development who hasn't at all enjoyed working under insane fascists. Especially since his uncle dated Jasper in the 80s and he knew and liked the man. That's one of the Benickies. Oh, maybe it's not actually, because it's somebody else. Okay. Maps, shifts, infrastructure reports. He can have more than one boyfriend. I don't know. Elton and Podge deserve an A on their little project. Over 3 nights of scouting, you shift between your lupus and Homid forms, testing for weaknesses, noting cameras and visitors, side entrances and windows. Lots of cops. There's a relaxed flow of personnel among municipal police. Hampshire County Sheriff's officers and Neo Albion. It looks like they're all playing for the same team. Nothing you encounter contradicts the data Elton and Podge got from the Hood contact. Daphne provides you with employee rosters, and you read through spreadsheets full of ex-military personnel. No washouts here. These are the elite. She's also calculated likely troop movements and guard rotations, but everything beyond names and ranks is speculation. Somewhere in the cairn you've never seen. Eater of Names watches his army grow. Stats is spreading, becoming more real. Is there only one way in, and how does it operate? Can we use vehicle shipments to get inside like we did with GRC Media? What about the security company? Can we spoof the badges? What about just sneaking in? Can we get over or under the fence? After a meticulous patrol, You discover a single spot along the fence not covered by a security camera. It's behind the barracks and regularly patrolled by guards. With Squirrel's help, you could scramble up the fence and drop down in time, you think. Alternatively, your cautious investigation of the fence reveals an irregularity along the bottom. It'd take both stealth and a great deal of vigor to work so long and hard, but you could dig your way under, wiggle through, and get in before the guards loop back. What about computer security? You get photos from the security system used at the facility and bring them to Podge. I could work with this if I had more time, Podge says, studying the photos from the swivel chair in his workshop. What they use are basically PIV cards, and I bet workers also use them to unlock their laptops at home. Ever since Celine infiltrated Conrad's house, I've maintained a pretty good working list of Neo-Albion's technicians, and if I had more time, I could probably sneak into one of their houses and spoof or sniff out their PIV cards. And I'd need at least a week of prep, which we don't have. He studies the photos for a while, and then his eyebrows go up. What? Elton says. Cheap cameras, Podge says. They use clear text RTSP to... Okay, long story short, they might be vulnerable to tampering. We might be able to swap the feeds. Like we replace the actual footage of us cutting through the fence with footage of nothing happening, Theurge asks. More or less. I can make false recordings tonight, and then either Celine or I can get close enough to IP cameras to force them to end their session and then hop over to our fake session. We'd have to be quick about it, though. I doubt we'd have a few more minutes before someone realised what we were doing. These aren't amateurs. Can we use vehicle shipments to get inside like we did at GRC Media? That worked so damn well a few months ago, and you'd love to repeat the trick, but the Neo-Albion base is much more secure than GRC Media was, or even like the facility was last winter, when you and Elton drove in with the waste disposal truck. The facility works with only a handful of recognised police contractors, and even then, every truck that arrives receives a full search while surrounded by armed guards. Assuming you could smuggle yourselves in, you could get past the gate but no further. Even 3 werewolves wouldn't survive the fusillade you'd receive upon discovery. Is there only one way in? How does it operate? Only the main gate leads in or out, protected by bollards that lower into the ground to let authorized vehicles pass. It's a sliding gate of reinforced chain link fence. Next to the gate is a bulletproof guardhouse. There's only one guard stationed there normally, but another goes by regularly. I'm sniveling, I'm sorry, chat, I'm sorry. But Podge warns you consider avoiding the gate and its guard by cutting through other parts of the fence, but Podge warns you away from that plan. A low-level electrical current in the fence will detect any breaches, but he explains that systems doesn't extend to the gate itself. So if someone else could distract the gate guard, either you or Podge could try disabling the mechanical structure that controls the gate, which would then allow you to just slide the gate open and slip inside. The only problem is that you can't get close enough to the gate to see what model it is, and you can't glean anything from watching it in through the binoculars. You'd have to rely on your education, supplemented by last-minute planning, to know how to open it without triggering the alarm. Okay, a lot of this requires me to be smart, so we're going to go with the one that doesn't. You spend the day making sure everyone knows what to do if the infiltration goes badly. Let's also check our rage. How mad are we? We're so pissed off. I love it. Your allies memorize possible routes up to the central fortress. Daphne monitors the site with drones, careful not to be observed. Melody shifts into her grey wolf form around noon and races south towards Chemicon, hoping to reach the factory before the cult. She does. She texts you with a coded message an hour after sunset, informing you that all 4 cultists have reached the factory. That's Nin's cue. She shifts into her lupus form and races east toward the Connecticut River with clothes and a sack strapped to her back. Her band's drummer is going to pick her up in the Sugar Shack parking lot and unknowingly drive the idols back to your territory. The rest of you shift into your lupus form. And head south until you cross the bridge into East Hampton, where the Neo-Albion base is located. Podge has already stashed some gear nearby, including a huge Neo-Albion crossbow. Fortunately for you, it shoots regular bolts, not silver-tipped ones. He also makes sure everyone has sidearms, just in case. As everyone gets into position, it occurs to you might want to shift into Glabro form, which will give you an edge going forward. Yeah, let's do that, because we have enough. Yep. Your flesh splits apart, hair and meat gliding into new configurations, muscles tearing, knitting together. You lick blood off your sharp teeth. The camera gap is along the north part of the fence, but when you get there, you discover that they've stationed a guard there. He's not looking your way, but he'll notice any digging. I'll deal with this, Elton says. He calls upon his shadow spirit and sends it at the guard. The man slumps... The man slumps, then sort of wanders listlessly. Here we go. I'm gonna put on some, infiltration-y music. I'll deal with this, Elton says. He calls upon his shadow spirit and sends it at the guard. The man slumps, then sort of wanders listlessly away. The distraction won't last forever, so you sprint to the fence with your spade and immediately get to work. With your endurance and power enhanced by your glabro form, you quickly clear a trench under the fence. You sweep the spade back and forth until you're sure even Elton can fit. Then signal the others with your spade and push through to the other side. The others follow you. Way more guards moving around in here than during your previous investigation, and you don't think it's because you messed up last night. Something's up. Elton leads the way, trailing shadows as he hurries toward the fortress atop the hill. The fortress has unexpected Art Deco touches, unlike everywhere else here. It's not just an efficient slab of concrete or corrugated metal. Someone at Hoover Development has artistic ambitions. Your previous scouting revealed a metal side door, frequently opened for equipment transfer and smoke breaks. But when you get there, it's locked and barred from the inside. But the fortress is built a bit like an off-center layer cake. And there's a landing directly above you. A quick boost and climb takes you up to the sliding glass door. The glass is bulletproof. You can tell because the door reads, Chemicom Sentinel Ballistic Insulated Glass UL5. You pop the deceptively bad lock and get everyone inside. You feel a queasy sense of dislocation as you step across the threshold. The lights flicker. That's Daphne screwing with the computer systems. But the weird sensation didn't feel like Glasswalker sorcery. Did we just pass into the Umbra? Elton asks. He looks around at the ordinary executive office suite. No. Everyone found out on the information about what goes on here. I'll search the executive suites and we'll meet in 15. We're here to destroy the cult, economically as well as spiritually. Let's figure out how to wreck everything all at once. Something is wrong here. The spirit of this world is closed and unhealthy. Keep your guard up and aware of deceptions. Be careful and look around for anything valuable. These bastards are rich. And I'd like to take their rich people stuff. Yeah, we'll meet up in 15. The executive suites is a good place to start looking for information. As the others hurry downstairs, you explore the offices. There's a mostly empty notification board with a fire escape plan. Sign up times for Ultimate Games and a sign that reads, you don't have to be crazy to work here, and it doesn't help to be crazy. Being crazy makes you a burden to others. Oh good! We're so positive about mental health. Woo woo woo! Yay! Heavy security stymies your investigations. There are computers aplenty, but you don't know how to access them without the passcodes. And even if you threw a bunch of laptops in your backpack, you're not sure that even Podge would be able to gain access to their data. This is a professional operation. They probably wipe everything remotely. But a hallway off the executive suite leads to a large, bland office full of old-fashioned folders. You can't see much through the frosted glass windows, but there are blueprints in there, accounts, all sorts of things that might be sensitive enough that Neo Albion doesn't want them on the computer. Within 50 miles of a Glasswalker. You'd love a sort through that data. After a few minutes, Podge and Elton return with a full report. If you're looking to rob the place, an apartment not far from the executive suites is full of jewellery, which your packmates could fence to raise money. Of more spiritual interest, Neo Albion has a small museum full of Garo artifacts, but they're not all cult ideals. Some of the artifacts there belong to Broadbrook and the destroyed Deercross Pack. Finally, while the arsenal is well defended at ground level, the rooftop access is unguarded. Podge could get in with a bomb and permanently end the threat this fortress poses. We've pretty much ghosted these guys. We should split up again. 2 operations. But there are 3 of us. You want to bag up those files and take them home for later perusal. Yeah, but there's something fucked up downstairs. You've got to see it and sort of confirm that Elton and I aren't crazy. Elton collect the idols. Podge get the paper files. We're treasure hunting tonight. Elton retrieve the idols. Podge bag up the jewelry. Elton, I want you to rescue the idols before Podge blows the armory. I think this one. It's time for a robbery. Elton collect the jewelry. Or Podge gets the paper files. Elton get as many files as you can before Podge destroys the armory. Elton grab the jewelry, then Podge will... Yeah, let's get the idols in the armory. I don't know why this is so... fucking intense. Jesus Christ. Elton and Podge scatter, leaving you to head cautiously downstairs. The landing with its curved and carpeted stairway reminds you more of a fine estate than the headquarters of a private security firm. Below, quiet chamber music and a feast. Servants in Revolutionary War style livery. Old men and young women in evening dress. Not a formal occasion though, more like a cocktail party with serving stations at each corner of a grand chamber. The floor is an unbelievably elaborate knotted labyrinth. This used to be a farmhouse that you explored last winter. You saw a tiny corner of this floor, but now it's fully revealed. Oh, is this the black spiral? I've been watching you, a familiar voice calls from below. Well, you're made. You step cautiously down the stairs, scanning for threats. 2 men at the far door wear revolvers under their jackets. Others in surgical scrubs carry long knives, but they're stainless steel serving knives. Most of the cutlery is silver. People were standing around drinking and talking, apparently unconcerned by your appearance. Archer Hutchinson, Neo Albion's highest-ranking field agent, sips from a fluted champagne glass trimmed in silver. He's dressed plainly in a black silk blazer and grey slacks. Giselle stands across from him in a red gown that highlights her wasted pallor, with a long grey scarf around her neck. Giselle's silver plate holds a delicate pile of steaming, reeking meat. The nearest table in the northeast corner of the room supports an enormous turtle. Its shell has been prized open, and part of its insides have been cooked. It's still alive as a man in surgical scrubs removes another piece of smoking hot flesh. Oh my god, and hands it to a dinner guest. I'm gonna freak the fuck out and kill everyone. An old man in a stained tuxedo. Each corner holds an animal. A mountain lion in the southwest, heavily peeled apart and gasping. A huge catfish in the southwest, carefully watered by a brass mechanism. Tail flipping back and forth as it's fed on, and in the northwest, a black wolf lying on her side like the mother of Romulus and Remus. Bowels pulsing, a silver chain binds her throat and ankles. You still know her. It's Black Tom, the theurge of your old pack. Her eyes roll in agony as the surgeons slice into her bowels and ladle out a heap of intestines. There's no reason to lurk upstairs, Giselle says as you pad down the steps and scan the room. I suppose you think that you and your pack are doing very well here. Oh, no, there's no time for honking. We gotta save our girl. Hope you get sleep too. Also respond on Facebook. I'm not paying attention. I'm streaming, okay? Doing well. Please meet Captain Hutchison. I've told him a great deal about you. Oh, right. Heinrich's lapdog. No reason to hide who I am or why I'm here. They're dead anyway. So, Captain, is Neo Albion still working with Hood Development, or is that all over? Good to meet you, Captain. I mostly keep my mouth shut. Humans already know too much. Animal torture is low, even for you people like you, Captain. I don't say anything. I just trawled back Tarn. How can I rescue her? Oh, come now. Don't act sullen, Captain Hutchison said. His voice booms, echoing off the high ceiling and the floor tiles. He steps past you, moving uncomfortably into your personal space, and helps himself to some cat meat. You glance at Black Tarn. Silver chains prevents her changing or regenerating, the horrible wound in her guts. But the chain has an antique-seeming lock, and locks have keys. Everything is shifting around, Captain Hutchison says, returning to where you and Giselle stand. We could work together, you know. Maybe that, too, will change one day. Who can say? But we had a productive relationship with the Hood Development for several years until that Alexius fool took over. And it's looked like our uncoupling from Hood has to be a big fight, if Alexius can see reason. The captain shoves the cat meat into his mouth with 2 greasy fingers. He eats so fast you expect him to gag. I'm sorry, Arthur, an old man you don't recognize says. He's fleshy and tan, but his tuxedo looks like he just rose from an open grave to haunt the living. He glides across the knotwork floor, laughing, nervously, showing his yellow teeth. Maybe I wasn't clear, but we haven't made a final decision about Hood Development yet. His tone is strained and peevish. Several old men behind him nod and mutter among themselves. Yes, we really have dragged that argument out, haven't we? Captain Hutchinson says, clapping the hand on the shoulder hard enough that one of his legs almost gives way. When he does that, his jacket rides up, revealing an old-fashioned key hanging from a belt loop, the same design as the old-fashioned lock that holds Black Tarn. They haven't built anything useful for months, haven't made any land purchases in even longer. And we all know there's a maniac in charge now. Despite all that, half of you haven't even listened to me when I said it's time to cut ties. And now you're picking a fight with Chemicon? The man blinks. Your company, Brett. These monsters are there right now, fucking it all up. You can feel the tension in the air. Alliances are shifting. Plans are being put in motion, and Giselle and the captain want you here for a reason. Something is up. Owl and I tried to read the room. I want the captain off balance and afraid. For whatever he's up to. Yes, Arthur, here we are. I lied to figure out what's going on. You understand what we've planned for this little horror show, right? Maybe it's time to talk to us, not Brett. I'm not taking any chances to keep my mouth shut and inch towards Black Tarn. Is that what you tell yourself in the torture pit, I say? Is that what Brett here wants? But my real goal as I gesture dramatically towards the captain is to palm the key that he wears. Let's fucking go! Dex clandestine! You desperate Brett, a quick and aggressive motion that draws every eye as the other hand slips under Captain Hutchinson's jacket to unclip the key, a single fluid motion. You think Giselle saw you, but her reaction is to back away from both you and the other werewolf. She glances around you to something on the ground. What is she looking at? It was only a momentary glance, but you see it now. A black sun motif on the knotwork floor formed by the intersection of swastikas and crucius ansatae. It looks newer than the rest of the mosaic. I know exactly what Brett wants, but I worry he's not going to get it. Neither are you, Celine. He's all smiles. No idea you just palmed the key. You take another step back so you're standing next to the black sun. We know what they do, the old man closest to Captain Hutchinson says, trying to recover some of his poise. He flinched when you gestured his way. He gestured your way. We've received the truth of the world. We know who runs it, and we know the name of his enemies. He looks you up and down, snarling like he's going to fight you. It's interesting you should say that, the captain says. I've actually learned from these creatures that fight over our world, Brett. Captain Hutchinson says. He finishes his meat, lets the silver plate drop with a nauseating clatter. The string quartet gets up, abandoning its instruments, and leaves. You think you understand, but what I've learned from them is that understanding is an action. Understanding is what you do. Everything else is just an illusion. What the fuck are you talking about, Arthur? A different old man says. I've had enough of your mystical bullshit. We're trying to run a company here, not... Like the trick of performance, most of the mosaic now seems to be above the level of the man's polished shoes. Wait, no, there's some of a knot that's risen out of the floor, a knot. No, when you blink again, you see that it's a snake. It's thousands of snakes. The knots along the floor are twisting, unfurling, biting. Only the black stun remains stable. Brett, you think that was his name? Starts to get up in Captain Hutchison's face, then he screams and falls into the nest of serpents. They swarm over him. Relax, Brett, says from his safe position on the steps next to Giselle. It'll be over soon. Brett tries to curse the captain, but snakes bite his mouth. Another clamps onto his eye. He can't even scream as they kill him. They stay exactly where you are. Giselle and Captain Hutchison are on the steps, safe. You're back to back with 3 carvers. Your back itches, fearing an attack, but they're too terrified to move. But the others are not so lucky. A dozen old men and a few women fall screaming into the writhing floor. An unbearable scent wafts up from the mosaic, a black miasma. Even Giselle and Captain Hutchison, who evidently planned this, cover their mouths in disgust as the creep rip fills the room. Open the fucking doors, the captain gasps as the mosaic stabilizes. The 2 guards armed to open the door. They're not facing your way. Captain Hutchison, though armed, has a handkerchief over his mouth. You can see a clear path through the snakes. You run across the room with your stolen key. Let's fucking go! And the ground depresses a little, but the remaining snakes miss you as you leap. And most of the floor has already been returned to being a mosaic. You get the key into Black Tarn's wrist binder. A quick turn opens it. Stop her, the captain shouts, drawing his revolver. You get the neck binder open too, then duck a silver shot that pancakes against the wall. Grey Nail and Hu Yi shine in the umbra, ready to rock. Let's fucking go! Okay. We not got infiltration music, it's battle time. No. What do we want? Okay. Captain Hutchison is closest. I slam him to the ground and kill him with my dagger. I steel my nerves to charge the carvers with silver knives with my dagger before they can fight back. I draw the pistol Podge gave me and quickly take down the door guards. Squirrel got me on speed. I quickly draw my weapon and dodge between the stairway to avoid the initial barrage of gunfire. Witches are still made of meat. I rush Giselle with my dagger before she can react. I draw the sidearm Podge gave me and brace myself for any weird shit she tries to throw my way. Draw the pistol, gain me, and quickly take out the door guards. We're gonna want to take out the guys with silver. Even as you draw the dagger, you feel the air ripple. The captain steps back and aims at you, but he's clearly struggling. You drop onto the blood-slick mosaic, and bullets fly over your head. It's a single brutal fusillade that ends in 3 seconds. The room suddenly lurches sideways. You look down and see that you sunk up to your ankles into the floor, which now writhes and squirms, not as serpents, but as an intricate 3D mandala. Giselle hasn't left the steps. Everything else, tables, furniture, the Black Sun mandala, carpets, dying and mutilated animals slide into the floor. You try to reach the steps, but you have nothing to grab hold of, and with a cry of surprise, you plunge down into the writhing maze world of the floor. Tangled knots catch you as you plunge down, slowing your fall like jungle vines, but even whenever you try to right yourself, the knots grow larger, until you find yourself sliding down a metal chute covered in what appear to be huge scales. Then slowly you slide to a halt in a realm you never imagined. You're in some kind of labyrinth, with walls made of colossal but slow-moving serpentine bodies, so vast that they resemble cliffs in umber burgundy and shimmering viridian. The ground is metallic and colourless, the sky slate grey except for the great black sun that hangs motionless, wreathed in slow-moving hooks of black light. Silverware and broken dishes are scattered all around you, so are the remains of the animals. Mercifully, they died in the fall. Blacktarn is here too. You approach her cautiously. At first you think she's dead. No, that's not quite true. At least you're sure she's dead. At first you're sure she's dead. Gaia alone knows what they've done to her over the months, but then you see her shaggy flank heave, a weak and pitiful flutter. Her silver bindings lay broken, nearby, destroyed by the fall, with the key still in the neck manacle. The old Theurge suddenly swells, and for a horrible moment, you're reminded of Clay's death, but she's just shifting into her lanky Hispo form. In that form, she has the strength, just barely to regenerate her mortal wounds. She lies on her side, gasping and heaving for several minutes, and you're not sure she's going to make it. But finally, her boiling guts withdraw behind greyish skin, and her wounds scab over. She partially rises, shifting into her Homid form as she looks blearily around. Can you stand, you ask, despite the horror she's suffered? Blacktarn forces herself to rise. Her wounds are terrible, but her eyes are clear. Curse every human, witch, warlock, and conjurer. I never should have turned my back on that human. How are your wounds? Can you walk? It's good to see you again, Blacktarn. I respect my elders, but also I really mean it. I assume she was dead. Is this hell? Are we in trouble? How are your wounds? Can you walk? My guts and stomach have grown well enough, Blacktarn says. Is there any seepage? You prod the wound in her side, like doubting Thomas, but the fluid runs clear. You should heal clean, you say. Then forgive me, she whispers. She kneels before the catfish and whispers a prayer of forgiveness to Gorgon, Carp, and the tiny gobs of the realm, and rips away the brass spigots. Then she starts to eat. She eats in silence for several minutes until some of the sickly grey pallor leaves her skin. You range back and forth, scouting the labyrinth, though you dare not round the corner. After a final prayer, Blacktarn rises and confronts this hell realm. So what is this place? You ask as Blacktarn rapes fish from her lips. Human sorcerers crave direct access to the Creator, not understanding that Gaia simply is, and that her creative aspect is merely one part of that, the triad. A sorcerer named Casimir Lubicic created the Black Sun Labyrinth centuries ago, and subsequent generations added to it until the Garu here realized what they were doing and stopped them. Led by the last Lubicic werewolf called Chains the Lie. They shed so much blood here that the gate now opens not to the wild but the worm. We are beneath the black spiral, Celine! We need to leave this place before something notices us. She walks fast as she talks, limping only a little. You can feel the corrosive power of this place against which Blacktarn, physically and spiritually exhausted after her deal, has no defense. And more practically, the walls are made of giant snakes, and they're constantly moving. This is what sent, was it the White Howlers that the Black Spiral dancers were? I think it was. Yeah, the White Howlers. This is where they went when they went insane. You check your phone. No bars in hell. And as you watch your phone's battery drains down, it will be dead in about 10 minutes like this. You turn it off. I invoke Al and feel my way towards the exit, relying on intuition and my keen instincts of touch and smell. We must know something about this place. I talk with Blacktarn and try and figure out what we know and what we can use. Careful investigation and patient backtracking defeat even a moving maze, especially with Al's help. I pay attention and analyze my environment as I move. I take the lead, relying on Squirrel as my endurance and athletic prowess take us over the most difficult terrain. You can get us out of here, Blacktarn, I'm sure of it. The Theurge just needs my confidence to lead her to an exit. I figure out how the hydraulic system works and sabotage them to my advantage. Let's go, maybe wits. Resolve investigation. You spend several hours just walking, getting a feel for this alien environment. There are walls that... Okay, we're going to turn off the epic battle music again. Okay. Alright, we're gonna go back to our sort of spooky stream sounds, baby. Okay. You spend several hours just walking, getting a feel for this alien environment. There are walls that squirm and bulge. Flights of crows wearing masks of tarnished gold. Latticework bridges over pools of filthy black water. Black water tunnels full of cool, moist air and distant rumbles of thunder from faraway storms. This place is different from the vampire castle you explored. Some differences are easy to articulate. For example, this place feels consciously crafted or built. Emmett Lubicic's lair felt like a ruin at the bottom of the universe, half-formed, though studded here. and just studied here and there with works of machinery or sorcery. Also, despite the unnatural horror that radiated from the walls of the dark cathedral. Hi, Billy. Hi. You felt solid there, even though looking back, you're not sure if you ever breathed. Here you feel abstract. It's hard to articulate even in the primal tongue. But you can feel like you've been translated into another language, remapped from a round globe to a flat map, or otherwise reconfigured to fit the different layers. You felt solid there, even what am I doing? The sensation is eerie, but also fairly uncommon as a werewolf moves through different layers of the Umbra. Fairly common. You pass toppled statues of wolves, serpents, men, and chimeras, combining them. Unfamiliar valves and wheels that seemed fitted to a morphology, nothing like your own. Obsidian discs that follow something that isn't the black sun, and the occasional pile of human bodies. Of human bones. Each is dressed differently in clothes of countless eras, dating back to what you guess is the 18th century. They never have anything valuable. After several hours of walking, you mentally catalogue everything you see. It's mostly just scraps of rubbish from the living world, a leg bone, part of a boot, chunks of wood. What's this? Blacktarn asks, noting an unfamiliar glyph scratched into the metal ground. It's not Garu. A little dragon sign is more elaborate than Garu work. It looks stenciled into the metal. A crowned salamander! You say, you've seen it before. Harmony Palace used that symbol. You tell Blacktarn what you know about Melody's dead sister, the alchemist. A pointing crowned salamander, Blacktarn says, flashing his spot tooth again. The Theurge is right. Harmony must have been here at one point and found her way out. That's it. You keep moving, looking for more salamanders and finding them. You don't know where they're going, but they're definitely going somewhere. Moving as confidently as you can in that soul-blasting shadow of the black sun. You see an opportunity to climb a long, low metallic rise. I wonder if we can get on top of the maze and look down. That makes sense. You leave Blacktarn to rest while you climb the rise and look out towards some kind of tower made of vertebrae and broken metal, wreathed in storm clouds. Everything else is just a tangle of heedless snakes, pools of water and their attendant apparatus, or the endless blank ground and sky so that the tower is your destination. It has to be. You keep moving. So we can invoke Owl. Let's try to invoke Owl, even though I don't have the awareness for it. Yeah, let's take the lead. You quickly appreciate how useful being able to climb walls can be, even if Blacktarn can't join you. You quickly establish a rhythm, clambering over some scaly walls and scaling around others, maintaining a steady pace towards the cloud-shrouded tower. After a few hours, you're sweating, but this isn't any harder than extended run in lupus form. More salamanders, Blacktarn says, pointing to another glyph on the ground. It's pointing just like the last one, pointing the way you want to go. Rescue a fellow from an humble prison. Yeah, let's go! There, Blacktarn says, pointing out a squamous metallic heap. A noiseless flash of lightning illuminates the tower. But as you circle around the last spiraling corridor of the labyrinth, the huge serpents twist and start to press together. The path back is gone, and a slow wave of filthy water washes over your ankles. All you and Blacktarn can do is run. You sprint into a plaza across from a kind of cathedral made of serpent bones, skulls, vertebrae, and ribs lashed together with rusting metal. The doors are closed, but you squeeze through a gap in the metal to find yourself in a waterlogged cathedral. Old corpses bob in the water, fouling the air, but most of the dead are just bones. You wade through the filthy water to a doorway beneath the huge wooden crucifix. There clearly was a doorway here, but it's been bricked up, then covered in chains. But there must be a way out. You find a waterlogged drone floating in the water. Its tether is cut, but you recognize Daphne's design. Even with her R&D budget reduced, she sent this through as a scout. More of Harmony's glyphs cover the bricks, as well as more extensive writing and notes, but as you examine them, the serpent bodies wrap around the cathedral, threatening to crush it, blocking out the grey light of the black sun until you can barely see Blacktarn or the floating corpses. The water swells up to your knees, churning up the dead. That's when you hear a guitar. Yes, Ned! I did not in fact sleep. I did finish the sword though. It only took like 8 hours. Oh goodness. I can't really talk because I did 11 hours of streaming. And I'm probably going to end in a little bit because the stream that I want to watch has started. And we might raid Carrie and Ava. Because that seems sweet. because they're going to be watching the Warhammer Championship preview show in about half an hour, and they are so incredibly funny. If some of you have found me not through the creature chat. Memories of childhood surface as Nin loops through a hammering cover of such great heights. You can follow the sound. You trace it to a keyhole that's just above the waterline. Whippoorwill trills on the other side as Nin's Song of the Moon Path guides you home. You grab your key, slam it into place and turn. The chains slither away, spill down the wall like a rain of serpents. You hear wheels turning, tumbling, opening a vast mechanism, awakening them, suddenly expanding outwards, and you're forward out of the surface prison into broad daylight. Your eyes take a second to adjust. When you see again, you're lying in a field of grass. You've been here before. You sit up. Black Lantern lies stunned on her side, but she doesn't seem badly hurt. Nin and Daphne stand over you, the former with a guitar, the latter with the sound system. They're next to a broken heap of bricks. Now you remember this place. These are the brick prisons you saw heading to your first Hogwarts show. Except now, one of them is completely obliterated. That's what you just emerged from. Song worked, Nin says, fiddling with her guitar's threat. The gift worked, Daphne says, but that song was never good. Stick to the Blue Oyster covers. Then her goggles flash as she scans Black Tom. Hello, are you a Black Spiral dancer? Furies, Black Tom groans. I'm only frustrated myself. I thought working with a wolfborn might be interesting, but all of Nin's solutions involve song lyrics from my childhood. This little one with a guitar is Nin, by the way. I don't think she's sentient like we are. What the heck? She wanted me to throw this in and fish you out. The glasswalker holds up a rock with a string wound around it. Now that we have rescued our screaming Argonauts, Nin declares, I would like to go home. Nin gets you and Black Tarn to Daphne's car, and the three of you sit in the back as the glasswalker's Nissan Leaf putters across the bridge to Elton's flat. The car stops to pick up Melody, who climbs in because she has her own adventure to talk about. So much for the cult of Fenris, she says. The Chemicon Bane got most of them, and I made sure the pig Fomori got the rest. They're all dead, you ask? I couldn't find Henrik, Melody says with a frown. I saw him go down under a wave of Fomori, though. They probably ate him. Let's keep our eyes peeled. Good riddance. We'll clear out any stragglers and retake our land tomorrow. But were you able to pull it off so they destroyed whatever was down there before they died? Fill me in. What happened in order, and what was the cult doing? Can we, I'm sorry to speak so crudely, steal any of their stuff? Good riddance. We'll take our land tomorrow. That's what the others have been doing. Well, I've been sitting around outside a tomb with the ghost of Linus hoping for the best. So fair, queen. So fucking fair. The cult's gone. Picked a fight with the fourth biggest bane I've ever seen. A big ugly pig monster with metal armor swinging a silver full moon mace around. They killed it at tremendous cost, and then sadly got killed and eaten by the pig demons on their way home. I may have pointed the pig demons their way. You work with pig demons, you ask? Better a pig than a fascist? Fuck yes, let's go. Let's fucking go. Oh my god. Melody says with a shrug. Melody fills you in. I fucking love this bitch. She's so great. Melody fills you in on some minor details as you roll through Northampton. When you reach Elton's place, beans, what am I doing? Yay, rat celebrate, let's go, rat party. Once she's warmed up a little bit, Blackton slowly unspools her story. Lost in the Umbra after a failed attempt to awaken Beaver, the first spirit you ever met, the Theurge drifted until the witch Giselle found her and imprisoned her. She was working with the cult of Fenris, Blackton says, trying to surround herself with powerful allies after some great spiritual calamity, but she grew to distrust them and threw her lot in with a worm-tainted private security organisation called Neo Albion. We know them well, Alton says. He and Melody make sure the tired old woman eats part of her burrito. Though we didn't know about the evil flaw that eats werewolves, Giselle never mentioned that. Making it a point to not eat, I ask, what was up with that feast? But what was Giselle's plan? Is this all about some sad human power play between Captain Hutchison and his rivals at Neo Albion? Giselle and Neo Albion represent a spiritual and cosmic threat that we're going to need to stop before she causes any more suffering. From Neo Albion's point of view, that's probably the case, Black Tom says. Captain Hutchinson used Havud development, the cult's human front, to advance his goals. Ew, gross and stinky. We hate men. To advance his own goals, until Heinrich lost the power to another werewolf. When that happened, Giselle struck a deal with Neo Albion by promising Captain Hutchison supernatural support. Someone like Hutchison can't really understand us, but I think Giselle is working on their minds, bending their understanding of the world so that it's compatible with her beliefs, which are kind of mystic and militant Christianity. That feast you saw, Celine, was an attempt to bind the Neo-Albion officers so they're loyal to Giselle. Now that she's abandoned the cult of Fenris, Giselle plans to embed herself in Neo-Albion, seize control of the Teufels hand from the Black Star Dancer that stole the Broadbrook can, and now who knows what greater ambition she has. So in a way, this is a human threat, but one controlled by a mystic. You know about the Teufels hand? Elton asks. That dark spirit has nearly dragged me into the void on many occasions, the elder Theurge says. I would like to see it destroyed. She watches her expression, a mix of curiosity and amusement, as Elton leafs through his copy of Casimir Lubicic's The Order of the Invisible World. Neither Melody's Kabbalism nor Elton's academic sorcery are anything like the old Theurge's mysticism. For what it's worth, we know what Giselle's Gate was. The Black Sun Labyrinth was either a creation or an acquisition of Casimir Lubicic. That farmhouse we explored last winter was an old Lubicic property. Old Casimir would never get the floor to work, but several Garl used it to exile their enemies. And Giselle was able to use it too, in order to impress New Albion with her power. You want to know more about the Black Sun Labyrinth, and how Giselle used it, and you want to reacquaint yourself with Black Tarn, but the shock of the trip through the Umbral prison has sapped your strength, and both Clorinda and Tisby have climbed onto you and will not move. Before you can say more, you drift off to sleep underneath the cats. That's so cute. Right, we are going to end sort of around here in a little bit. You wake up only once around 4 a.m. Elton and Nin sit surrounded by candles in teacups and saucers, drinking red wine and playing cards with an old Leonora Carrington tarot set. Scattered taffel game pieces serve as counters in a game you do not understand. Cigarette smoke coils from a stoneware ashtray, the ghost of Catherine. Black Tarn, previously the fourth in their game, has fallen asleep on the sofa across from you. You watch for a while, then drift back to sleep. Elton watches you a little before noon because you have an afternoon shift at Gorski Manor, and he and Melody need to get Black Tarn situated in her own barrow. With the cult destroyed, and Neo-Albion's main fortress severely damaged, your pack has won a major victory. And with GRC media reduced to a pitiful shell of its former self, vomiting AI-generated articles for bots to read, you see only one more major obstacle between you and the can, assuming you can find a way to reach it. You don't want the Teufels hand ripping your pack apart the moment you approach the can. You need some way to deal with that threat. You're sitting on the steps outside City Hall after a failed attempt to meet with one of the new unelected councillors, when you get an email from Nomi. Infection rumours. Oh right, you ask them to run down a rumour about a strange infection. Hello Celine. Since you're a regular reader of Cahoots, you probably know about the secret Tulpa Wars of Tibet. Did you know that Tibetan mystic masters have recently settled in the valley? The valley's Tibetan immigrants are stonemasons, quarriers and roofers. Melody once told you about the history of the Goshen stone and the recent arrival of working-class Tibetans who now work in that industry. According to my sources, who must remain anonymous, a psychic battle at Esther's restaurant last winter triggered the awakening of face-stealing changelings that are best understood as dark tulpas, unleashed by the negative psychic energy expelled by psychic masters seeking enlightenment by shedding all their negative emotions. From what I can understand, the psychic master used to leave these coiled smoking piles of dark energy all over Tibet in their quest for enlightenment. And people knew how to clean them up, but people here don't, so they're getting up, running around and eating faces. But here's where it gets weird. There's apparently a mystery cop who's been following up on these deaths. I got a name. Hoop, or maybe Hoope? That's the guy. We've heard that name before. I can't find any info on him except that he's an MPD officer, and at least one person I know he swears he used to hang out around S's restaurant with an ex-army guy named Merritt. Comrade Merritt, not ex-army, he was a former airman. Your pack touchers sell you to him as a wolf dog hybrid. Nomi's email rambles for another 3,000 words without saying anything useful or even coherent, but the Hoop Merritt Esther connection piques your interest. Your pack explored Esther's after Eater of Names resurrection but didn't find anything. Maybe you should check it out. You spend the next hour researching Tibetan immigrants in the valley, but you suspect you'll have to scout around to learn more. Okay. Let's see. Let's check our phone first, real quick. How are we doing on Shmani? Oh, okay, we're pretty good. So, I think this is gonna be where we end the stream tonight, chat. Oh my goodness. Thank everybody so much for coming. It's been a fucking monster. 11 hours and 20 minutes. We're going to go on the ending soon screen. And we're going to go to our chill stream music. And you know what? We're going to, even though there's only a couple of us here, we are going to raid Ava and Carrie. My boys. As they are watching the Warhammer thing. And I also want to watch it. So. It's time. Right. So I'm going to start the raid. Hopefully that works. I don't know. But, yeah, thanks everybody so much for coming along this evening. And I will guess I see you all later. Bye, chat! Oh god, that's the wrong application. Okay. Right, I need to end the stream, huh? Oh, we're gonna raid now. Let's go! Let's fucking go! Go! Okay, bye chat, bye!